Today we are here to talk about Invictus and everything that happened around that. It's the last day of Invictus, so bye bye Invictus, bye bye Free Fly. Also, we have to
See ya.
mention. See ya. We hope you're sticking
Please don't
around,
come
but
back for a while.
Yeah.
Please don't come back for a while.
well,
Yeah.
no, we want them to buy
No,
game
it's
packages, right? But
yeah.
no.
Yes, we do.
No, maybe add like a maintenance window or two in between, free flight or something. Because like at the end of the day, free flight, you're coming to play a game. By the end, it's so dog ass. Sorry. But it's just, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like in the beginning, it's such a good hype and it's good. They just add some maintenance and like I don't know, might attract more people. Towards the end. Sorry, didn't mean to jump in like
No,
that.
no, actually, I'm glad you kind of just jumped right into it because yeah, there's definitely I think some stuff to talk about. This is my third Invictus now, I think, and definitely have noticed an improvement compared to the last two. I don't know if you guys,
Oh yeah.
I remember being stuck in New Babbage forever.
I remember
That's terrible.
not being able to load up on 30-player servers and stuff like that. That was just
Wow.
completely terrible. Like you just had 30 people on the server and it would just literally it's like server like the server would freeze, server problems like constantly. And it was yeah, for a little bit there was the instability was kind of annoying. So it's definitely way better. Like from last year to this year, it's like night and day.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about. I don't know what the solution would be, but I kind of got all excited. What was it, a month or two ago now when they first started doing server maintenance? I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Once a week server maintenance. This makes so much sense. And then we didn't have one for like 2 weeks. They did like 2 in 2 days. And then we didn't get another one for like 2-3 weeks. And then patch dropped. Invictus is like, wait, hold up. I thought this was, anyway, I got a little confused there. I don't know how you guys felt about that.
They needed to keep the server maintenance going 100%. Like it was so nice for when they were dropping regular server maintenance. And like I don't know what it is on their end, like why they can't do that. But like when they were dropping it regularly, the game was it was just running awesome. And then I mean, like how would you feel as a new player coming into this and be like, "Oh, this is garbage. This is absolute garbage."
Yeah. So I guess for people who are just joining or for people who would be watching this on YouTube, like I guess we should kind of lay out what Invictus is, right? So if you're new to Star Citizen, Invictus is a in-game ship convention, essentially, right? Which showcases all the different manufacturers over 2 days each, or of the I think it's still 2 days each, and then you see the whole role. And that's Invictus. Then after that, you get Defense Con because Drake's not invited to Invictus, and then Drake has its own little 2-day thing. So if you've never been to Invictus in game, or if you've never seen it, or if you don't own Star Citizen, that's basically what it is. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add for what you think Invictus is, or do you think that covers it pretty well?
I mean, I like the layout. I mean, compared to what they had in previous years or even last year, just to be able to go in and just they had everything kind of laid out. Kind of weird how they laid out the stores where each day they dropped something, but you were able to kind of see what they had to offer right off the bat, which was kind of cool because not a lot of people have every day they can go there to try to make it there, and it kind of makes it just a little bit kind of. So they did it a little bit better, kind of with the in-game stuff compared to the store stuff, and I think they did it right. But it's cool being able to kind of have that in-game convention and test out ships and
Yeah.
kind of it's fun. And on top trying to relate or trying to answer Lamad there with the stability was good in the last two free fly. The last free fly there was no like new ships really introduced, right? Like it was like nothing really introduced. So I mean I know
Asgard.
the Idris probably no, the last one before there was no Asgard, I don't think yet, right? There was no really ship introduced
Oh, you're
yet.
talking about
So
last. Okay.
it was still kind of like, the hype was a little low and that could be why it just played a little better with the Idris. If people that weren't playing for many years that were like, ooh, my ship is finally like I can finally fly my ship, or I can go back into the store and get my buyback or whatever. see a lot more people that were probably playing and jumping into the game during
I
this time.
I like Invictus, man. Like just to go on the showroom floor and like we just to get
Mess
to see
around.
what's new and like you could go into the ships. I think it's fun.
I got
I'm like,
decapped by the
oh
Asgard on there. It was fun. It
yeah.
was always
I mean, as soon as I saw a couple ships, I was like, I'm going to probably get that. And then, but that's the whole thing. It's like, it's to get you amped for the game. And I mean, that's pretty much how I see Invictus. But
So
yeah,
yeah.
did you guys go every day, or
no,
every
just once.
every time it changed, manufacturer?
No, that was the kind of the good thing. It gave us the ability to not really feel like we had to do that, right? Because they kind of
Mhm.
dropped all the ships. Like here's what you got. You can't test them until Misk Day or Anvil Day or whatever, however they want to call it. But it was cool how they did it, where you kind of see and look and kind of get the feel of everything. It was really, really neat. Like the MX, I was excited for the MX. You get
Yep.
to see it right off the bat. You had to wait,
Yep.
but you got to see it, you got to feel it. Looked a little bit beefier. Interior didn't have no bed, but you don't really,
well,
you know what I
see, and
mean?
that's my
not
thing.
that's not really what it was. Good ship. Good ship.
That was my thing. Like, I've flown around the Guardians before, the QI and the regular one, and I know how that ship flies. Not well, but I know. And as soon as I saw like the missile boat, and I went there on the first day, I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy this ship. I have the means to. I'm going to do it. And so I went to check it out on the showroom floor. I think we checked out the missiles or the new torps as well. We checked out everything there. And that was the only day I went there. I just went there one day. I didn't really care about much else that was, for renting stuff. Like, yeah, I could have, rented whatever, but that didn't interest me as much to rent them. I can understand coming in from like a new player's point of view, like how that could be, that could be more beneficial for them to be able to try out some of the ships that are in the game. I could see that. But for me, it was all about the Guardian MX. And I'm like, yeah, let's get it.
Because we got the Great Cat MTV, we got the Anvil Asgard, Starlancer Attack, and the Guardian MX. Am I missing one? But I think those are all the ships we actually got in game available to play and fly with this Invictus. I know we got certain announcements like the fact that
the MTC too as well. MTC was another one, or did you say the MTC?
I said MTV. Did I get it
MTC.
wrong? Is it the MTZ and not the MTC?
It's
With the-
MTC.
MTC. Okay, then I got it wrong.
Yeah.
The Great Cat. Yeah. So those were the 4 ships or and vehicles we got. I tested out every single one except for the MTC. I'm typically not huge into the ground vehicles until they get their driving handling model a little bit more under wraps. It's still kind of like still a little wonky, but everything else was pretty cool. The Asgard I thought was really interesting, and I thought what was really funny was so many industrial players going over and grabbing an Asgard just because of the 180 something SCU that it comes with, which is pretty cool. The TAC, I actually ended up grabbing one. I'm not gonna lie. I love it, except it's just the slowest thing in the world. Nothing is slower than the Starlancer. It's disgusting that a Reclaimer.
And why does it have those big engines on it? Like,
it's right. Slow. Like, what's the point? They're not doing anything.
What is the point?
Wait,
it's a light bar.
No, we have a race by Coco and my brother, the Reclaimer versus the Starlancer, and the Reclaimer is actually just a little bit slower. Just I believe, right? Cody can he'll clarify.
I thought the
Reclaimer
like SCM speed was like 130 something, 140, and then for the Starlancer it's 109 for the Starlancer.
They were heavy racing, and I'm surprised there wasn't a trophy at stake for how much they were racing them bad boys.
Did anybody fall asleep?
They haven't done it in Atmo.
Okay. But so, I mean, okay. So, you guys didn't rent too much, or did you guys just rent the new stuff?
I would rent the new stuff. Yeah, I mean, I would rent. I rented a lot of the ground vehicles to test in Asgard. I always try to rent what I'm really trying to test or what's related to the new. But yeah, sometimes I'll go in and I'll grab. I think I grabbed the Eclipse, test the Eclipse out, a couple other ships.
That's what. There. Thank you. I knew I rented something. I did get the Eclipse, and I went and played with that for a little bit. Just I mean, hey, it's a stealth bomber. Come on. It was fun to fly around. I didn't do much with it, but I'm not spending $300 on that ship. I'm sorry. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Yeah, I mean the only reason why I went up to attack was because of a CCU chain,
Okay.
which is something else I think we should talk about for Invictus, because typically Invictus is one of those moments where everybody gets their CCUs for their chains and everything. Is that something you guys play into, or are you guys not so interested in the CCU
did.
stuff?
I
Yeah,
did actually. I got a token for the Paladin.
So
Nice.
I'm guilty of the CCU chain. It's my older brother's pretty much he's the cause of it, but it's what they do is sometimes they like to stagger them. So it's like throughout the year you'll collect them right here and there. You'll see war bonds and whatnot, and you'll get them and you try to link them together. And there's always like at an event there's still like you'll get to a $235 ship or something like that, and then their war bond will start at that. And like you're basically your chain gets broken, and you have to like rethink your chain. So it's like a weird. It's literally like it's a system, like it's a big system. And if you like don't mind sitting on it over time, you can like get a lot of money off of a ship, And that's what I did. I had good CCU chains. I melted everything just recently, and yeah, went on that whole F5 war.
You did. So. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We don't have to talk about that.
We're getting that's for later on. I'm gonna get to that later on. Don't worry. I didn't know that, but now that makes later on even more interesting to talk about. So the other thing I want. So in case anybody's joining and they're watching something on Star Citizen for the first time, the CCU game is essentially what you would call ship upgrades that you can buy that are links between ships that apply discounts. So let's say the jump from, I actually know this one because I just did it. The jump from a Terrapin Medic to a Starlancer Mac is typically, I think, $35, $40. But if you get the CCU when it's available, you can get it for typically the minimum I've seen is like 60% off. Most of the time you're seeing closer to 75, 80%. I even had one at one point that was like 87% off on a CCU. But anyways, those apply on the upgrades between ships. And so what people do is they buy them and they link them all together over time, as what he said, which is really a great point. I wish I had kind of understood a bit more when I started. But over time, if you're invested into this, you can get pretty massive chains where instead of spending, I'm going to use Shaky as an example. Instead of spending, at the time it was what, $675, $700 on the Polaris, he spent like $330, $360. So you can do it right.
My older brother has a similar chain, very low for the Polaris. Yeah,
310. Son of. Anyways, moving on. So that's why people play the CCU game, and typically these events, these in-game events, are when we get those CCUs that we can go buy. So do you guys? So one thing about the CCUs is I wish somebody had told me when I started. Oh, you're going to be doing this for like a year or two, and I would have been like, oh wait. Because every time I try to finish off CCU, it's like, there's nothing yet. Okay, never mind. So you just have to wait. You have to be patient. It's the patient game. It's the long con.
Good way to play it too, as well, is if you have, depending on what you're doing. So if you can, like, if you're trying to get LTI stuff, you can like get like that new LTI ship, and you can melt the ship you have, and you can apply it, and you can get it close to that CCU. So say like you save $20 getting Cuddy Steel, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to get some within 215. So you basically get your short credit to like the Hurricane at 210, and then you only got to spend like $5 on the war bond, like actual money. So there's ways to play it too as well, to save and actually use store credit that you've used maybe on paints and other things too as well.
Right, as long as it's not a war bond CCU, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can like build your basically the credit of the ship with the store cred up to that point of the CCU. So if you're saving like $20 on that CCU, like if it's $20 off or whatever, it's $240, but the ship's going for $220 war bond. You just want to get your store cred to like a 210 or 215, which is like a Hurricane or wherever. And then you can use CCU game too as well. And then I like playing it. Sometimes CCU game will not give you everything, so I like to mess around. But yeah. Anyways, sorry.
No, I mean I think
It's
it's not
nerdy. It's fun. I
CCUs
like
are
it.
not typically a conversation I see a lot happening outside of individual streams or stuff like that. So a lot of people when they come into Star Citizen, they're like, "What the hell is a CCU? I have no idea what you guys are talking about."
Well,
Basically,
you know,
open up your
it's
wallet is what we're telling you.
yeah. And you can melt, right? Other games you can't melt your skins and rebuy new stuff. Like you are able to melt and buy the new ship that came out, and so it's the bad lip that this game gets, and this is the good side of it that nobody really hears. It's like you can actually melt your stuff. Yeah, it's store credit, but you can melt it. And you even like if you don't want it, you even have 30 days to like email them and they'll refund you and
That's
stuff. So it's
something.
not really so like you know what I mean, crooked. And it's like you know you're just trying to invest in a game, help them. Yeah, you're trying to help them out, and then it becomes available in game 2-3 months later. So I don't know. I can understand some of the gripe with some things, but yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's
No,
we're you know
that's
we all help in all
that's also
ways.
something we're gonna get into very soon. But let's finish up a little bit on Invictus.
ADHD, sorry.
No, you're totally good, dude. Did you guys do the Idris tour? Did you like that?
Yes,
I did.
Did you
I
get
did.
lost? Who got lost? I got lost.
Of course, I got lost.
every time. Yes,
Okay,
yes, I still get
I've
lost.
said it. I'm not a huge fan of the Idris. I think it's a cool ship. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an awesome ship. Okay, it's not for me. The Idris is just it's maybe with the rail gun it'd be for me, but no, it's
So
just
wait,
not for
what's
me.
the gripe with the Idris? Is it that you don't like that kind of a ship being in game, or you specifically
No,
the
no, I think it's great
Idris?
that it's in game.
Okay.
I just specifically the Idris itself. Like I understand what it is, but I think I know that the laser is buggy right now, and dude, for what that ship is, it should be like eating Polarises for lunch, like no problem. And it's just it's you know, I mean, if you go out and I understand that the missions with the Polarises they're more beefy, like the NPC Polaris is a little more beefy, but still, you're spending that kind of money, you should be able to instantly vaporize something like a Polaris. Like not instantly, but you get what I'm saying. Like it should be a little better than what it is. But
So
that's
you
just my thoughts.
so you
I'm not
think
a huge fan of it.
you think they didn't make it strong enough, the Idris?
I mean, I don't know what it's like against player Polarises, but
Well, I can
possibly.
tell you that we destroyed a Polaris so quickly we weren't even sure if that was a player. And then we were like, "Oh, that was a player." There may have been some ramming on their part involved, which may have caused them to prematurely explode. But
the other thing, the carrier aspect of it. Okay, yeah, I understand. Like, okay, cool. Medium fighters, like I could barely squeeze a Guardian MX in there. Like, I get it. You could fit a bunch of light fighters in there and stuff.
well, it's made with the
Just
Gladius in mind, based off
Yeah,
Star
it's
Squadron
based
42.
off Aegis. You can fit the Eclipse in there. So what I like it for is like industrial gameplay. So you can say you can stack it with some golems. You can stack the bags inside. You can even grab like what we're gonna do over I think Thursday, Friday. We're gonna take it around and go scoop up random ships and just salvage on the
you could
inside.
park it
And
over
we're
the
just gonna
Oh,
whole.
salvage.
inside
You know what I mean?
salvage.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
inside salvage. So we're gonna just grab ships and use the MPVs and like salvage. So gameplay for industrials like fucking over the top with it, excuse my language.
You're good.
I could see with not battling, but a combat, the M railgun. That's where it's at. You have the laser beam and you have the torps, which are kind of bugged right now. But you're gonna go into like some sort of battle. I want to say that's where you're gonna get your like what Devils is looking for, like a railgun type of like you know what I mean action. So once we're able, or we should be able to salvage those soon here from other random Idrises and stuff like that. So you never know. And then buy them in game and stuff like that too as well. So it's always a good thing to have. But yeah, you're basically using the cargo version with a kit. So it's not really. It's like a you know what I mean. It's like a freaking Saturn with a turbo on it. You know what I mean? Like it's still good. It'll go fast, but like at the end of the day, like you know,
only in a
you get a
straight
Porsche
line.
out there. Like you know what I mean? Like it's gonna have some fun. So I don't know.
Okay.
I like the
see
Idris
what you
though.
mean.
Industrial gameplay. It's. I think it's got good, and even combat too. It's got you have your medical bay. You have a lot of good things with it. But it's a big ship. It's gonna take a lot to man to cover it. Engineering is gonna be a big thing here too as well. So it's definitely one of the ships you have to make sure you have people man it.
So, okay, so I think you guys are kind of both agreeing that it's a good thing for it to have come into the game, though, because I think it's a huge feat on CIG's part to have managed to finally fully built out, not the shell like we used to have, be implemented in game. I think that was a big step for them.
Yeah.
It's nice
Yeah,
that they were able to
it
release
was.
something.
So there's one other
And
ship. Sorry, go ahead.
as far as I know, it hasn't been too buggy except for like the laser. I mean, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it. I've done some stuff in it. But I know the laser's a little buggy, but other than that, it's pretty solid ship. Me personally, it's not my style of ship. Like I think it's great and all, and I think it's cool. I like that they're in the game. The laser looks pretty cool when it's firing. Just not for me though.
So you're more of a light to medium-sized ship kind of
Oh
person.
no, I love flying the Polaris. It's my favorite ship to fly in the game.
Got you.
Polaris is nice. I want to say like your flying style, like that's like, and you like the Dorito. You like that's your shit, man. So
I
like,
got a bag of CL Zeus's here.
so yeah, it's how you want to use it and how you know what I mean. It's the type of ship. It's good. So it's good that it's introduced in the game. Now this introduces the fact you might get the Legionnaire. Legionnaire is a boarding ship, or you have these other ships that you can board. That's cool.
Perseus.
Watch out for this little freaking turtle-looking ship that's just going to come and probe you and come and someone's going to come take over your ship. So I don't know. It's cool to have a bigger ship, so some of these other little ships can kind of group up and get some shit done.
Do you think
I
that's
thought
actually
it was pretty cool.
Do you guys think
Go
that's
ahead.
actually something that's possible with the way everything's balanced right now, to have, let's say, a squadron of 10 Gladiuses take on an Idris? I don't think they would do too much damage, to be honest.
No, only size 4 and up is going to do any damage to capital ships. So I mean, what they're going to do, so there are only 3s with those. So you'd have to get like a Avenger or something that at least has a 4 on there, but you'd rather go to like at least a Hornet, which has 2 4s. So, or even MX. So you know what I mean. You can keep going up the ladder, but you want to go 4 and above. So those guys are good for taking out the light fighters, which are kind of a pain in the ass for the players, is the ones trying to take out the Idris. So having those guys are good to kind of keep them away from the big guy, and keep all the small guys away from the bigger ships that you have.
So okay,
When you see an Idris in game, it's very intimidating, right?
It
Like
is.
I'm sure somebody flew by when we were doing the mining at OLP the other day and saw the Idris. Was like, nope. So I mean, they do have that intimidating factor, and I think it's
They
great.
work as a
And
deterrent. Yeah, I get that.
deterrent. I mean, if I saw that and I was like, I just wanted to go down in a hole and mine, and I saw that there parked right on top of it, I'd be like, yeah, I'll find another server or try to grab a bomber.
So I
But
mean, do you guys? I mean, I have a couple gripes with the Idris with the way it is right now, but I think that's just going to be tweaked out. Like turret speed, they're stupid slow. Especially the size 4s are way too slow to really be
I've been
effective
noticing
against
that too.
fighters.
I've
Because
been
I got into
noticing that as
players.
well.
The players compared to it, turret speed is insane. They move so quickly. Again, thank you everybody. I really appreciate all the follows. You guys are awesome. But yeah, I think there's obviously going to be some tweaking and some balancing to come out. And yeah, has anybody tried the torpedo kit? That's the only one I haven't been in. It's the one with a torp kit.
I have not. No, I've not tried the torp kit yet.
Have you guys heard how much it costs to restock the torp kit?
I don't want to know.
I think the number I was told
I'm
was
doing whole C stuff just to try
34
to get money
million.
back.
34 million.
34 million to restock your torps fully, I believe.
A lot of whole seeing. Man,
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I'm okay with
1
that.
mil per torp.
Okay, so there's one last thing we have to talk about in terms of ship sales before we move on to the rest of the stuff. Who was aware that they sold the Kraken?
I heard that, and it went faster than the Idris.
Yeah, it went super fast. It went super fast. You could get the war bond in the first wave. You had a chance to get the war bond, but after that, every other wave it was just gone. But the first wave, you had a chance to get a war bond for at least the first 5 minutes. I was looking at it. I was like, look at that, and then boop, gone. I just sorry, toxic. I just had to watch it.
I'm looking forward to the Kraken. I'm looking forward to the Kraken. I know it's
cool.
Kraken's going to be Kraken.
It's gonna get a rework, so
Yep.
I'm curious to see how it comes out. It's Drake, so and think about it. The way they announce stuff, it may be the big thing next year that they come out with, maybe, or it's Ironclad Assault.
So okay, so that's one of the ships I actually thought we would see this week, and I was very wrong. Very sad.
The
I was wrong.
Ironclad.
The Ironclad. I actually honestly thought, because there was a,
I was hyped for Drake.
when Jared played 20 questions with John Crew, he had said, well, what's one of the things, I think he asked him, what's one of the things that's being worked on that you're not supposed to say? He's like, the Ironclad's in production. I was kind of hoping that would come sooner than later, and I thought that would have been really good for industrial, because what you're saying you're doing with the with the Idris, I feel like people will just do with the Kraken, and then what's the other one I was just thinking of? The Ironclad. Sorry, I think the Ironclad will be awesome for interior salvaging, and hopefully by then hand salvaging is more of a thing.
Yeah, and then the Assault's gonna have the ability to truck parts and stuff like that. Obviously, we don't know what they had tanks, but they didn't say what it was gonna do. But right now we have obviously like mini tools or multi tools and stuff like that could be created by the Vultures. So I'm sure that hopefully there's some sort of integration with Vultures and the Ironclad Assault. I mean, I'm excited for that.
That would be very cool. There's got to be something, because I think they're heading towards that with, I think the Arastra will be the first one that really starts to integrate more of these systems all into one ship. At least I'm hoping, because that thing's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's actually a pretty sizable ship.
The Arastra? I've never looked into it. How big?
I think it's I'd have to go look again at the size, but the Arastra, hold up, I have their website open. I'm trying to get the browser to show up on the scene. For some reason OBS is just really being unhelpful today.
Because you updated.
Yeah, I should have never done the freaking update, man. It's driving me crazy. All right, anybody thinking about being a streamer, don't ever update OBS once you get it working. Just leave it be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leave it.
Yes.
Don't ever touch it again. What's up, Arkiko?
Never update. Unless the forces.
Oh, wait, did they really actually say that the Arastra won't be coming out until after 1.0? I thought that was further down the production pipeline. I guess not. Hold up.
No, just announced a couple things. Yeah. That and the Odyssey too as well, unfortunately. It's the same with the Endeavor too.
The Endeavor, I don't expect
be like the last ship that they make.
Seriously, that and the the Retribution. I don't ever expect to see those. I'd love to see the Retribution in game one point, but I think it'll be in Squadron. That's obviously, I don't think they'll ever put it in what's it called? The PU. Okay, so the Arastra is 124 meters long, 21 meters tall, and 64 meters wide. Now, I don't trust any of these stats for weapons because I know the website has been a little borked for that recently. Sorry, everybody. I wanted to show you, but OBS is like, nah. No web browser for you today. Cool. Awesome. All right, well. So, did either of you... I just have to ask, but you don't have to answer. Did either of you get an Idris or a Kraken? Somebody mentioned F5 earlier, so I'm just...
So
tell the story, Sweat.
yeah, so I melted like all my chains, all that stuff, right? Because you think you have a chance, right? They give us a chance. You melt it, you have the whole hype, you do F5. I think my only chance I actually had at getting store credit one was probably like the first, second one, you know. But I tried everyone. And then come down to I just kind of added everything up. CCUs, war bonds I kind of had in there too as well, and I just added to it and ended up getting Dominus pack for the Idris. So I went the dumb route, the don't go route. But that's the route I went because it was there and stuff I kind of like added over time with streaming and stuff like that. So it's whatever, the org and stuff like that. So trying to get something that can kind of facilitate. Sometimes, you know, we have a couple people, sometimes we have, you know, more than a couple people on. So it's just trying to facilitate some of the needs that we have with that. So, but yeah, didn't get lucky and get the F5 war, which was unfortunate.
Got you. But you got what you wanted.
Yeah, no, I did. I kept looking at the other ships between the Kraken, even the Pioneer too. You kind of need someone in Idris that's going to bring you materials and stuff to actually get the Pioneer building stuff. So, at the end of the day, that's kind of like what I do, and I like moving boxes. I like salvaging, but it's like moving boxes and kind of like the organizational thing. I really do enjoy. Kind of weird, whatever. It's just me. I do like combat too as well. FPS combat is fun, but ship combat, I don't mind just, you know, running turret and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely like moving boxes and I don't know, I could see it being a fun ship for my industrial type stuff.
So this first part, we were talking about kind of ships that were available, you know, what Invictus is like, the Idris tour, which, by the way, the only thing I didn't mention earlier is, I don't know if you guys remember the last Idris tour we had, but this one was so much better. And we actually got to visit the full ship, which was pretty cool. So, and then we talked about some of the future ship sales incoming. The Kraken was put on sale. There was no Javelin sale, was there?
Yes.
There was.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
With
I
the Idris.
totally missed that one.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's why.
I believe DV got his javelin.
Yes. Javelin. Sorry.
I mean, that's the only capital ship I really want at some point.
Is the Jav?
Is the Jab. But I will never spend that kind of money to have it. Unless I somehow CCU. But see, I'm already making excuses. So I will just say that's my goal in game, is to eventually acquire a Javelin. Hopefully it's not 50,000 favors from Wicklow, but...
I consider myself humble most of the time, but the only one I really want is the Bengal. I mean, yeah, that's it.
So the Bengal is probably my... Okay, if we're just going to have just a quick, you know, parentheses moment of like, let's, you know, let's daydream about ships here for a second. Okay, new moment in the tired table, everyone. Daydreaming about Star Citizen ships. All right, so if we're talking about the real daydream, the Bengal is probably one of the sexiest looking ships that they have put together into the game.
I take that back. I want that mothership for the Vanduul.
Which one? The King ship?
The one that's only the King ship. The only one that's it's only available in Star Citizen, and you just get a look at it. Or I mean, Squadron 42.
So I'm sure at some point that'll be like an event in the PU where, you know, like as soon as we finally get aliens, I would assume they would have an event similar to what we just saw with the Polaris and stuff like that, where the aliens will be incurring, you know, there will be an incursion into some system that we'll all have to go to fight them back off, which could also be the beginning of theaters of war and stuff like that. So there's so much potential there, and I think one day we will eventually see it. I don't see why they would hide an asset like that in Squadron.
Give me the King ship, and I will be happy.
Now, will you be able to get in it? Own one? That's, I mean, given how
I will steal it and never log out of the game.
But all right, okay, so Bengal makes me daydream. Which one makes you guys daydream? Let's finishing off ships that make us. I'm gonna refrain from inappropriate terms.
I was gonna say it's the
daydream. So mine was the so I liked the Perseus, right? When they had the shot where it's like blasting through the other ship, the Hammerhead. And then my
Mhm.
brother burst my bubble. He's like, no, he just shot it and just flew through it. I'm like, he didn't fucking pierce it. He's like, no,
It's supposed to. It's
It's
supposed
not
to have.
planned to pierce anything. I'm like, oh damn it. So for
Isn't
a
it
while, I was
supposed to,
like,
though?
yes, I want to run through all the ships. You know what I mean? They're like, no, that's not the fucking plan.
Isn't it supposed
So-
to do that though? Isn't it like reinforced
Yeah.
on the front end for
It's
that?
got armor and stuff, and it's got that, like, you know what I mean? It's reinforced, but it's not made to ram. Unfortunately, I know.
Well,
Which
Sad too, 'cause
would
the
have been
gun-
very
guns
cool.
on the front. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed the Mario hat. All right, everybody.
oh,
Yeah, it's happening. So these two
What?
fine gentlemen decided to be, show some solidarity
God.
with me in case we had to put ridiculous stuff on. So just give us a second here, everybody. And I feel like my hat is
I
so
daydream
crap
about
now.
the muke as well. The muke is where it's at.
I broke out the Kurt Busch hat there for you, or the Wonder hat there for
By
you.
the way, I can't see shit.
What was the name of that David Spade movie? Joe Dirt. There you go. What's up, Joe Dirt?
Call it that.
All right. Okay, we gotta stay
Let's
serious.
get
though.
serious.
Yeah, super
get
serious.
serious.
So
Super serious.
I can't help it. I look up at Devils and I just start
I'm just staring at him.
All right. So do you guys think we'll ever see the Retribution in game one day? Maybe 10 years from now? Just last daydream question about ships.
I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna say no.
It's the largest ship ever built in the UEE, and it was built to fight back the Vandal.
Oh shit.
It is massive. It's like the size of a city almost, and it can never come back into atmosphere, kind of thing. It's pretty crazy. It's gonna be in Squadron 42. Yeah, that's what I figured. So the Retribution, I have concept art for it saved somewhere. I gotta go find it, but yeah, it's just the coolest thing they could think of. Yeah, exactly. It's 4 times the size of a Javelin, essentially. You can land a C2 inside the Retribution.
Well, that sounds
damn.
fun.
No problem. It's massive. There's a lot of lore behind it. If you guys are interested in lore, I highly recommend you guys go check out the Astro Historian channel on YouTube. Astropub makes some awesome stuff. And he has a lore video on the Retribution, which is very good. Which is very, very good.
Okay.
So, okay. All right, now let's talk about some of the not so nice stuff, things that happened around
Let's get it.
Invictus. Okay, so in case anybody was, living under a rock, what was it, the first day of Invictus, or was it like 2 days in? I forget. They decided to sell ship blades. Now, if you don't know what a ship blade is, a ship blade is, well, you've probably heard of it called AI blades or ship blades. And originally what we were told is it would be equipment we can put into our ship, components that would essentially replace a human being or an NPC in the turret and allow the turrets to fire and protect you. I think that's what most people will think about when they think about the blades, right? What we got in game this time was a speed blade and a maneuvering. Thank you. Maneuvering blade. The speed blade gives you an extra 10 ms in top speed, I believe it was.
And reduces your maneuverment.
Right. So there was a give and take, right? So it gives you a bit more top speed, reduces your maneuverability, and then the maneuverability was the opposite. Is it gives you a bit more maneuverability, reduces your top speed. So
Which was
go ahead.
like by a point, 1 point on the maneuverability. It's ridiculous. People were making. I honestly got it because the paints were sick. I love black and red, so I was like, hey, these paints are cool. And it comes with a blade. All right, I checked it out. Hated it. Didn't care for the blade. The blade is useless and pointless to me. But yeah.
Yeah, I used to throw credit on the. I tried out the bombs and the blade on the Gladius. I figured I'd try to make a little mini bomber. I went to a planet that had low atmo, and the bombs I think just floated there.
So okay,
No
that's the
way,
other thing. So it was not just the blades. At the same
Uh,
time as they released the blades to the store, they also really released all the Wicklow armor that you had previously been grinding for. And they released some of the ship paints from him as well. There were ship paints with the AI blades, but then there was the bomb racks, and I feel like there's one other thing I'm missing. It was bomb racks plus
The
something else,
missile
wasn't it?
rack.
Missile rack. There you
Missile
go.
rack.
And those were universal. You could put across a wider range of ships. Now, the other thing to note about the AI blades is that they're ship specific, and not just ship specific, but also variant specific.
Mm-hmm.
And they sold them from, I think the cheapest blade was $8 and the most expensive was 30 something.
yeah, those
Well,
were
and I heard a lot of people griping
pricey.
that, oh, that's pay to win. Well, pretty much all of Star Citizen's
Well,
kind of pay to win.
we're going to get there. So what happened, yeah, so a lot of people saw that as being a bit of a step too far from CIG in terms of their monetization. And in case, again, you've been living under a rock and this is the first time you've discovered Star Citizen's monetization or their funding scheme is what they call pledged and backer reliant. So they rely on people essentially A, buying game packages, first thing, and then B, potentially buying ships and stuff like that in order to fund the game. Recently, they've taken it a couple steps further. They've started selling, well, they were always selling paints, weapons, and armor, but with Loot Tier 0, it became a bit more relevant to actually own these armors and weapons that you can also buy on the store. So a lot of people saw it as pay to win, pay to advance, pay to progress, pay to have an advantage, threw on a whole bunch of labels on it. And it brought in a lot of negative press, especially from within the community for sure, and from outside of the community. So I guess the first question I have for the two of you is, how do you guys feel about that? Care, not care? I mean, you've already said you guys went and grabbed, the bomb racks. That I thought was something I wish I could have just earned in game, but I think the idea of the bombing racks is actually pretty cool. And that's something I want to just preface this entire conversation with. At least from my end, I'm not going to be talking about objectively whether these components features are cool. I think they're all cool. I think pretty much most of the stuff that we get, 99.9% of the stuff we get in Star Citizen is as objectively as possible cool. The issue is more in terms of the monetization practice and the fact that this is a game that's now raised, I'm going to go look at the exact number again, over $820 million from backers, not including investing or outside investment, which I think reports go from a minimum of 50 to the top reports I've heard, or the most I've heard is an extra 150 million. So technically this game's already over the billion pretty much, or right there. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? How much did you guys care about it? Did you understand the backlash? Do you not understand it and you disagree? I'm kind of just curious where you guys stand there.
The way I looked at it, honestly, like, I got the paints, okay? Everything's going to be available in game eventually, right? They say that they're, maybe CIG's losing money, that, I mean, they just closed down the, what is it, the LA office?
Yeah, LA's been basically
so-
closed for a year.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. It's a pill that you gotta swallow, like, I understand why they're doing it. Like, it's not cheap to run the game. It's not cheap to develop the game, okay? Maybe the way they released it wasn't under the best pretense, and it felt to, like, a lot of people that, oh yeah, this is pay to win. And I think that was just something for the community to bitch about. And honestly, I saw it as getting a paint. I didn't really see it as the AI blade. Like, it was cool to check out. If it gave it like a significant change to the ship, then I would have been like, okay, yeah, this is a little OP. And then if they would have released it, a couple days later in the game, to where you could only get the paint from the store and get the blade in the game, I think that would have been a little bit better. But I mean, hey, it's what's done is done. Like, I don't really think it was like super pay to win. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't.
So real quick, according to robertSpaceIndustries.com, and I'll drop this in the chat, we are at $834,461,878 raised for Star Citizen. If anybody wants to go check out that link. And I also have the CCU game page open, which I would love to show you, but OBS, we've covered this. And OBS says, it's not OBS. CCU game says that so far this month, all right, just the month of May, Star Citizen has raised $26,678,000. And remember, that's an estimate. We won't know what the real numbers are until maybe 2 years from now, because they just released 2023 financials, so we're still waiting on 2024. I don't see 2025 coming anytime. Well, we have to finish it off first for the year, but we won't know this for a while. So the estimation is almost 26 3/4 in terms of money raised just this month.
So
I mean,
basically,
you gotta be able to fund a game, right? You gotta be able to fund any. Like I draw 2D shit, and like to be able to draw what I draw, we feed off of other departments and stuff like that. And it's one of those things where it's like, in order to produce this game, they have to have backers, right? They have to have things they release. And honestly, I went and got the blades thinking of the typical system of they charge, and then a few months later they release it in game, and it was more or less like. My thought process behind it is I'm paying, I'm not necessarily paying to win because it's out. More likely it's buggy, Like the bomb, like I said, I released the bomb, it floated there, it didn't do shit. So like, you know what I mean? What did I pay for really? I paid to lose technically. So I paid to test. So at the end of the day, and if I don't like it, I can melt it. So I didn't really like the fact that like how they did it after, like when they kind of pointed out, they're like, oh, like, why are we doing this now? And it was like, oh, that is kind of a little bit fishy. But then they kind of backlash, or they kind of came back and they're like, oh, we're going to release it in June in stores. And then from future, we're going to give people the option to either buy and back us, or you can earn it in game. I think that's the best option right there. Like if you're going to do it like that, and it's going to be not a ship and something that's like an item, like a bomb rack or something. Yeah, give someone the option to earn it in game or buy it, I guess. And yes, it's that pay to win mentality in that sense, but not, I mean, at the end of the day, there's the game is so all over the place with balance and everything. There's not really any like the best ship unless you're like, because it's like you can even like, I don't know, you can get, I don't know, there's just so many, it's such a big game. And I just don't see it being, go ahead.
I think what a lot of people also forget is that stuff that you buy on the store after everything gets wiped will be in your inventory when the game hits 1.0.
So you think that's more of a sales point to buy these things? Because then then that pushes the argument of like a definite clear. I don't agree with pay to win. I think pay for advantage makes more sense.
Yeah, pay for advantage. Yeah.
Pay to progress.
It's more of like
because like, really what it is
you're a ship. If you say you're getting like say they go ahead and they release a Gladius and they release the military Gladius for an extra $100 and something bucks, then you're paying to win. Then you're taking a ship, you're splitting one ship and you're making it one OP like version, and then you're making the poor man's version. That's pay to win, in my opinion.
Well, then wouldn't that apply?
Like, hey,
wouldn't that apply to F7C, F7A?
Mm-hmm. Or
well,
Asgard,
that was the in-game ticket you had to earn, which I still am griping about because they gave people this past recent patch things from the I can't think right now, but from the Pyro stuff. The people were given kind of passes. They were given their stuff from Pyro because the servers were bad. I had issues with servers were bad with my F7A stuff. I gave up even going for it, not to realize, like, you know what I mean? And I tried to email them and try to get ticket, and they couldn't give me ticket and blah, blah, blah. So I can see the F7A being a problem. But at the end of the day, now you can get it in game. And if you know someone with F7A, you just get the turret. And only thing you're really lacking is that nose. They can go size 3s on the nose. You go size 2s. That's it, really.
But then that's also, a lot of people have made the argument that that's a trend that you see within Star Citizen, and every time they release a ship, it tends to become the meta until the next one comes out or until they do a rebalance, which the balances are going to be constantly happening no matter what. But
well, they even said at the last interview they put everything that they do this is statistical, so the Maelstrom system's not in yet. So when they do it, John Crew comes out and he has this whole chart, and I deal with these stupid charts at work with doing pricings and stuff like that. And you have to enter all these stupid numbers to get this number over here. So they're just doing, you know, the numbers game on some of these things, and just the balances. That's why the balance is all over the place. So until we have some sort of system that they're already using, and they're just trying to make this old system kind of work until they implement it, it's going to be kind of a little bit of a headache, I think.
All right, I see what you mean. So, do you guys agree with? Did you guys pay attention to any of the outside criticism? You know, because I mean, a lot of us follow other streamers, content creators on YouTube that are, you know, heavily invested in Star Citizen. But do you guys typically go see at all what people outside of the community have said, or what their opinion was of it, how they saw it?
It's the constant, like, why are the ships so much, and why you gotta pay so much to play the game, and
pretty
just
negative for
misconceptions.
most of the media, because I get a lot of like MMORPG.com popping up with Star Citizen. Oh, this ship's $2,000, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, but they don't really convey the point. They just they dog on it. They dog on Star Citizen quite a bit, and like, I mean, it like I don't really pay attention too much to what they have to say, because I know it's a game I like to play, and I don't mind backing it. I don't mind being part of this. What we're, you know, it's never been done before.
Took me a while to back it. Like, it took me a while to put anything really into it in that sense, or put, you know, it's yeah, it has potential, and the more transparency they show to their community, I think you know, what do they want to say? I can't think right now. I gotta take this wig off. It's too hot. But
Yeah, we've hit the timer, by the way. These can go.
I gotta take it off. It's too hot.
I don't want to take mine off.
No, you get to keep yours on. You look too damn funny with it. I'm kidding.
Fine.
But by the way, gentlemen, thank you. It's the appreciate the
I haven't worked
camaraderie.
here yet.
The support. Okay, so I think for me the main argument that was made, and I would always encourage people to go see what's being said, because sometimes there is some constructive criticism. There are haters. The internet is full of said haters and trolls. So yes, it's hard to navigate at times.
No
but,
way.
No, I know it's. What are you?
No
just
way. That's
new here.
What's the internet?
But no, I think the most valid point that was made is an incredibly important one, because one of my biggest concerns for a long time has been, what will the game look like in 1.0, and what will be the main, you know, driver to play the game, to progress, to be involved in the verse, to want to be in an org, to play in groups, stuff like that. And I think a point that was made by people within the community and outside of the community that was really valid is, doesn't this take away from the game itself, though? Having the option to constantly buy everything, to avoid the progression, to avoid having to play it in an MMO, can seem appealing, you know, at face value, but when you look at what drives an MMO, it's the part of it, right? Is you want to have as many people playing all the time. And now, yeah, I agree, because I think a counter argument to some of that would be, well, just because you own a ship doesn't mean you've beat that game loop, right? It just gives you access to it, because there is no beating of any loops in Star Citizen as of right now. If you consider getting to the end of the rep totem to be, you know, finishing off a game loop, then sure, but that's really the only thing you can do. So I really did hear the argument of, like, having everything available to buy will take away from the experience of trying to get all this stuff in game, of having to come up with groups in order to progress and get these things, and yeah. So I'm kind of curious to what you guys think about that. If it's something that you worry about, if you're able to push past that, and if you want something in game, you just go for it.
Well, I think it's kind of cool. Like, okay, so this is relevant to. So I've been trying to score an FR 76, right? It's not something you could just go
I've tried asking people if they want to sell it for in-game cred, and it's not something you got to go find one. And I grinded for 5 ace helmets and got the ace helmets, and then got the 2 Panther repeaters, and I went over to Wicklow on that gamble, and fortunate was able to get an FR76. Unfortunately, it does not equip because it's a bug. So I can't even use it. But I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, you can't buy the best gear that's in the game. I mean, you could probably find somebody to trade with, which is, I mean, but you still got to get cred, so that's still, there's still that grind there for it.
So I thought that was available now to buy through one of the Wicklow packages in store. I might be wrong there. I'll have to
Wait,
go.
what? Getting other people's ships. So my favorite fucking thing to do is to grind, get money, and have someone pop up and be like, "Hey, I want to get an F7A or not F7A, but I want a Hornet or I want a Vulture," and then they come help you move a couple boxes, and then you give them like 3 million to, like, for a couple minutes of their time, whatnot. So I love trying to use my bigger ships to try to help others that maybe just want to put $30 in the game and just would like to get in Reclaimer or other stuff like that, or Hull C or whatever, to kind of try the game in a different aspect, or before they go and spend the 16 million to buy a Hull C in game and stuff like that. So fun.
Supplier die, bring it back. We need more money.
And that was the best way to make money for a long time on Star Citizen. Absolutely, I agree with you. And actually, I've had less desire to grind stuff out since that's been gone. But no, and I hear what you're saying, Seven. It's just to kind of go off of some of the comments in chat. But I think outside opinion is important, especially since, as I was trying to say earlier, it's massively multiplayer. We need more and more people, right? Like, when you look at the 5.7 million accounts, we all know those aren't individual people, because how many people here just in this conversation have alts? I have one. I thought I bought a second one, but I held off. You have an alt? We all got alts. All right, so it's 3 players with 6 accounts between the the 3 of us. So there's that reality. Then I think one of the things that can deter certain people from coming into the game, and Riot makes this point, is this conversation really only pertains to 1.0, right? Because it's kind of a moot point right now with what's going on in the verse. But I think it's important to kind of project into the future and look at the trends of what CIG's been doing. Because for me right now, there's 2 trends in CIG. So there's the gameplay PU trend, which is on the up and up. It's getting better. I think it's hard to really say. I mean, it's hard to take anyone who's been playing the game seriously right now and say, "Oh, it's never been worse." No, it's definitely been worse. Everyone, I think, remembers 318.
Mm-hmm.
No
I
one
played
wants
Rainbow
to.
Six for a little bit of time.
But see, that's the thing. Is also a lot of people take breaks, which is also super important. I'm in a little bit of a break myself right now. But yeah, so it's definitely gotten much better in terms of performance. We talked about it even at the beginning. This is probably the best performance in Free Fly we've seen ever. A point I wanted to make to what you said earlier, Devils, was I think the reason why we got a Free Fly a month ago was to test it out for this.
Yep.
Because they knew they were coming out with stuff that were so big and demanding on the servers that they definitely need to test out that load. So I would think a lot of us were really happy when they originally postponed it or said we're canceling it. Then they did one kind of out of the blue as a test. That wasn't so bad in terms of performance. This one it had like its peaks and its downs. I'd say the last 48 hours have been pretty rough in game. I tried getting in over the weekend and I was like, ooh, no. I'll come back later. And I did notice that at some other people's streams that they were having a lot of issues. So there's that trend. There's that line. There's what CIG is actually achieving right now in game, which is on the up. I have to say, there's more content than ever before. There's a lot more to do. Certain things work better. I'm starting to actually not hate the game when I'm quantuming from one place to another. That's become way more smooth and just enjoyable overall. So I'd say, on the one part, there's definitely that's clearly progressing, right? Now, whether it's everything they had stated from 2023 with all the features that are complete over in Squadron are now coming over. we're finally getting most of those coming over and making sense in the game. That could be one reason. Or it maybe is they've had a shift and they understand that they need to be more proactive. And I think it's very good that they're now pushing for 11 patches in 12 months. I think we'll get 10 at best, given their track record. And I think 10 would already be incredibly impressive for them. 11 would be phenomenal if they can actually stick with what they say they're going to do for a year. I think a lot of people would be impressed with that. That would gain a lot of goodwill for them back from within certain communities within the community and outside the community. So that's one trend. But then the other trend is this: every time an issue appears in game, there seems to be a financial solution in the store. Argo Atlas, these Flyblades, which for me, the Flyblades, that argument doesn't hold up so much there, because for me, Master Modes is so terrible to begin with. And I'm exaggerating a little bit. I'm just not a huge fan of Master Modes. But I think the flight model right now still needs some work, and I know they've talked about getting us that, so hopefully that comes in sooner or later. But there's definitely been a clear push for more monetization in this last year. Atlas, smaller things. I mean, it feels like the store has, I'm not going to exaggerate and say doubled, but there's definitely a lot more stuff to buy now. There's definitely a lot more packs, these game packs where it's an armor and some weapons, really taking advantage of loot tier 0. So they've definitely gotten a bit heavier on the monetization. And I think that no matter what game you are, what better publisher or developer you are, is always going to get negative feedback, because not everybody sees the need to put more than $60-$80 into a game, or doesn't see why that's a thing. They don't get it. And I hear you guys' argument of like, we support the project, we want to see it come to fruition. So I completely agree with that. So the reason why I mentioned these two lines is because we need to make sure we continue to bring in people from the outside. So we got to have somewhat good positive opinion. And I know everybody's aware of this, but there's still plenty of people that call Star Citizen a scam. And I know everyone here has had the conversation with someone at some point of, it's not a scam, you can play the game. We've all been through that.
Wait, it's not? I was kind of excited to be part of that.
The greatest pyramid scheme ever.
Yeah, give them
Wait, you
$40
want
and
Tetris?
then your blood, and then your first child, and then you can play the game.
Yeah.
My son is coming back to me next month. Thank you, Chris Roberts.
I had to give him my left kidney.
Sorry. I should warn you.
I need some water. Hold up.
Finally good he's coming back home, though, for sure.
But so you guys...
Yeah, he just called.
But so do you guys see
They
the
let
argument?
him have phone calls?
But so do you guys see
Sorry.
the argument that's being made of like, this could potentially hurt the 1.0 experience? Because, if this was a game where everything kind of fell into place for 1.0 and everybody was playing a totally brand new experience for 1.0, that'd be one thing. But I don't think we'll ever. I think people who have had time in the game will clearly have an advantage by the time we get there, because of so many years of development.
Right.
So many years.
Yeah, we're going to have an advantage.
We're not figuring out Kickstarter.
Do you do you guys think they'll actually follow through with what they've said they'll do, which is not do ship sales anymore after 1.0?
I hope
don't know.
not.
I don't know how they're going to do that, to be honest with you.
How are they going to monetize the game?
Well, there are a lot of
Well, it
people are
depends.
making the argument of subscription based, kind of like WoW.
I've kind of thought that too. Like, oh yeah, Star Citizen's probably going to go subscription base if they, it financially makes sense. You can't just run this game on nothing.
I don't know. I don't know how. But I hear some. It's like 50-50 is what I hear in the community, and it's like I don't know how I would really feel unless they approached it, in a tasteful way in that sense, right? I don't know. If they kept them more, maybe I don't know, to be honest with you, how I would feel about that. You know, you buy the base game, right? And you have your subscriptions. And I mean, the Battle Pass thing's kind of like played out. So maybe they bring something new to the table. You know, maybe they have some new way to
Well, look at WoW.
approach.
How long has WoW survived?
Well,
And
WoW
they
did so well that it has two versions now: one that's free
Mhm.
and one that's subscription
Mhm.
based.
Mhm.
Yeah. See, and then like, yeah, I mean, there's so many games that are subscription based. Like I don't want it to be like an iRacing. That's annoying. Like, you know, that's why I don't play it no more. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. I don't know if I want it to go that route. Unless it's like a reasonable subscription, you know. If it's something that I'm like locked in and then it's like fucking $200 a year, that's crazy, you know, or whatever. So I don't know. Depends on what how they go about it. They can go about it a good way, a tasteful way. I think we're seeing that now. The Atlas IT, IKTI, it's gonna be like an in-game thing. You're gonna be like turning stuff
Icky.
into Wicklow to
Mhm.
get this. You know, maybe this whole Blade thing stopped them from putting that in the store. Maybe they were like, "Hey, hold on, that let's take the price tag off this. Let's put it in the game."
I thought it was going to
So
be for
you know,
sale
who knows
in the store.
Oh, I'm sure it will be, but now it's in game too. Like they're testing it right now in PTU, and we'll get this next patch. You know, which is pretty neat.
So
exciting.
Seven makes a
So-
really good, interesting point. Is he believes that ship sales would become obsolete, but the reason why he thinks it won't be a big deal is because of how diluted people will be across multiple systems. However, let's just remember 1.0 is 5 systems, not the 100 and something that hopefully we'll get one day. And we don't know if that's truly going to be over 1,000 players. We would assume, given how server meshing has come as far as it has, that we would be able to at least be at 1,000 people for 1.0's release. But so I think that's an interesting argument. I was like, well, yeah, some people will have certain things, but it'll be diluted. I think that really depends on what their 1.0 content more endgame content is, because it's clear that endgame isn't just getting a ship, right? Endgame isn't just getting an Idris. It'll
it's community.
be something
Horde,
that
community.
you can then go do with an Idris as a community, right? As a group. And this game clearly is pushing people towards being in groups. There'll be things for the solo player, the duos running around the verse, people who aren't big on groups or being in orgs. I think there'll be something there for them, but I think it's clear that most of the endgame stuff, for example, space stations, that is not something that I think will be achievable by a single person. At least doesn't seem to be in their plans at all.
No, I hope not. Hope
I mean, I
hope
would
it's
love
a
to
group
be
thing,
able, to have a group of
There's
10
no way.
people that you can
or have a
still
system
achieve that.
to where, have a system where you can group with people, just in case some people are solo. Some people don't have that massive group, or just too shy to join those big groups or even smaller groups, and have a system to where they can use in-game chat, and like you can all group up and join up and party up and all that stuff to do these things. It'd be nice. A little bit more in-game communication and trading would be great, which I know they're working on, but it'd be nice to see that sooner than later than another ship or anything else.
I think Arkin makes a great point, and it's something that I've kind of believed myself because of crafting blueprints and base building that's coming in, is you'll probably still be able to buy the ships, but if you want to upgrade them to different tiers, you'll have to do that in game, get the blueprints, buy the blueprints from somebody. And I think it's really weird in Star Citizen to have these conversations because we're so far away, and even CIG doesn't even really seem to know what their end goal is going to be or truly is. I know there's a lot of vision from Lord Roberts in terms of what the game should feel like, the amount of immersion, the amount of detail, but I still don't have a sense from him, Rich Tyrer, or any of them, of what they even see what the end result should resemble. And I think there's a lot of assumptions. I think there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of people trying to take all the information they have available to them to come up with an image that makes sense at the end. But realistically, I think we don't know what that's going to be. Now, the other thing I did want to quickly point out with regards to some of the community backlash, I think the most valid thing, and it's not something that's just unique to Star Citizen or CIG or RSI, whatever. It's something across the entirety of gaming, is game developers and companies are always going to try to see what they can get away with and what'll bring in money. And I think we've clearly seen with the numbers that I was talking about earlier that this has not deterred at least the whales or most people in the game from spending money. I'm guilty as well. You know, I'm playing a bit of devil's advocate here, but I'm guilty as well. I finished off my CCU to Starlancer Attack. One that I quietly kept to myself earlier was I did get the Perseus. So I'm just as guilty, you know, even though I tend to say, don't spend your money. Don't congratulate me.
Yeah, but yeah, we're the, you know, come join us. We're the dumb ones. Fly our ships. You know, come join.
Yeah, I'm just.
I do have a top hat, Odin. Don't mention it. But anyways.
Hey, I'm almost there.
But see, like, I mean, you know, for me as a content creator personally, like a lot of money I put in was just purely giveaways over the last year and a half of doing them. So in that sense, I feel like at least I've given back to the community or given people the opportunity to get things that they didn't have to spend any money for.
I don't know if you guys know who Dadbod Nerd is. He's a
of course I do.
Streamer, of course. He puts it into perspective rationally. Like, you see these people that have spent $15,000 on their accounts. They don't just drop $15,000. Right? How long has the game been out? Since 2012. It's over time that they've put that money in. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, drop this right now. No, it's over time, and
you don't even realize it.
Yeah, you don't. You really don't.
Go look at your bill and the subscription.
What's the main reason why I got rid of the subscription? I did finally get rid of the subscription, just because, yeah, personal finances, not super stoked, me personally, with some of the moves recently marketing wise, but and then also, you know, one of the reasons why I originally got it, and this I still think is very good if you've never subbed and you're on the fence and you want to try it at least. My favorite part of the subscription was the vault and all the concept art and all the cool little things that you got to go see. But the problem is that very rarely gets updated. So
yeah,
once you go through it, you're kind of done. But, you know, to kind of counter what you guys are saying, there are people dropping $2,000 on transactions this last 10 days. $2,000. And I absolutely 100,000% believe there are people who bought 2, maybe 3, because I know people who were like that in the past, and no, I don't have the heart to go ask if they did because I don't want to know. But you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of money just spent, and also buying an Idris didn't actually get you a game package. It does not come attached to a game package. So I can understand how people from the outside say, wait, you spent $2,000 and you don't have access to the game? But then you got to explain to them the whole scheme, I was about to say scheme. No, the whole store layout, how it works.
Scam was right. I think you were
right. No,
right.
I said scheme. I didn't say scam. But look, you know, I clearly get that you guys are more on the supportive side, and I don't think that's necessarily, I don't agree with people who go like, oh, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Of course we're drinking the damn Kool-Aid. We're playing the game. Like, I myself want to see this succeed.
Yeah.
I think everybody here
dollars
does.
win. Yeah. Dollars, the time. It's not just the dollars. Time, right? Time,
Riot
bugs,
brings up
all the stuff you go through. It's we're all building the game together, you know, regardless
Riot
of what
brings
you
up
put
a good
into
point.
it.
When you spend over 1,000, you get game access, and you get Squadron 42.
I don't know if that's still a thing for Concierge, is it? I don't think you get Squadron 42 anymore. But there was I do remember Concierge normally getting you.
No.
It's not, so Squadron's out.
So it's just access. So, okay, technically then that's wrong. I was wrong. You do get access, but it's not technically in the pack. It's just CIG's like, all right, well, you spent so much. Here you go. But no, I think it's important to, I think for me, the biggest, most important subject for Star Citizen is what's 1.0 going to be like and how can we help shape it. And so I naturally have to kind of ask, well, is allowing for all this monetization really going to help the 1.0 experience? I haven't made up my mind yet. I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation further until we at least have a clearer idea of 1.0 we'll look at.
They
And
take care of
that's
their employees. Take care of their employees. You know, happy employee. You're right. They're gonna take care. They're gonna make this game what it needs to be. So hopefully they reinvest this money that we're giving them back into their employees and into the game, and not into Chris Roberts toilet paper. You know what I mean?
Or a fifth swimming pool.
Just another yacht.
golden coffee
But yeah,
machine.
that's the problem I see with a lot of big businesses is they don't invest back in their people, and it's like your people are what your business is based off of, and that's hopefully these people that they hire stay, right? And I'm sure hopefully we can see some good shit down the road. But yeah.
Wait,
it's one of
golden
those things
coffee
where you-
machine. Did they get one?
I'd be disappointed if they don't have one at this point.
I would. Yeah, I would too.
No, but I mean, so, and the reason why I say, I kind of was trying to
Does it work,
push.
though?
No, of course it
Here,
doesn't.
next patch. Next
Spits
patch.
out gold flakes.
You go to use it and just says next patch on it. Like, shit.
Come back 2 more years. Come back later.
Hey, when's pizza coming? Come on.
Never.
Never. But no, I think it's an important conversation to have. I think overall, a lot of people don't necessarily understand this, but I've heard some people make the argument of like, oh, Star Citizen is the worst monetization ever in gaming. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
no,
absolutely not. It's not great, I'll give you that, but it's definitely not the worst. I came from FIFA, now called EAFC.
I came from iRacing.
Ooh, yeah, I did
It's
iRacing for a
terrible.
bit. But iRacing, at least you're only paying for the subscription. So where FIFA gets
No,
disgusting.
you're paying for the track and you're
Oh, that's
paying for the
right.
cars. You get a baseline of cars and tracks, but if you want to play what everyone else is playing, it's another 12, 15 bucks. That was 2020, so probably more now. And then the cars were same, about 10, 15 bucks each. You want variants, cost more, blah, blah, blah. You can do your own paints and stuff, but yeah. A lot of that is a money pit. You want to talk about a money pit? Nope. Hold on.
I mean,
My son.
Yeah.
1 second.
you're good. No worries. You know what? Actually, let's
He
take
came back. They
let's-
got his son back. I
Nice.
thought it was supposed to be tomorrow.
Oh, sick. Let's let him handle his things real quick. We are going to take a quick break, everybody. Make sure Blazos is pleased. I really appreciate the conversation. Appreciate all the comments. There's so many. It's hard to keep up with you guys. You guys are all fantastic and awesome. Thanks again to all the follows and the sub. Oh, are you good to go?
Yeah. He just used the restroom, so I just tried to stop him before he came too far. Just
If you need to take a couple minutes, I don't mind.
no, he was good. I took care of him already. I just had to help him out.
Okay, cool.
He was stuck. Yeah.
All right, no worries. So I think one of the most interesting videos I saw from the outside. Obviously, I don't pay attention to games media really that much anymore. They're terrible. But I think Luke Stevens' video made a lot of noise, and that was actually an interesting take on it. And he's more of a financial guy, so he looks at it just bewildered, which I can understand to a certain extent. But I do think some of the criticism is somewhat warranted, and I think we do have to at least acknowledge it if we want this game to be everything we hope it is. I want a massively multiplayer online game, and I hate MMOs, which I know is really weird that I'm here. I never thought I would start streaming. I never thought I would start streaming an MMO, but here I am. And, I personally, for myself, love the ambition of the game, love the detail. Nothing makes me feel like Star Citizen does when I get in and I launch it and I fly out of my hangar. I think it looks better and better every patch, and they don't necessarily point it out. It's something that you kind of discover for yourself. Every time I go, I think everybody has this. Each patch you spend more time in a certain area than others, right? Let's, for example, just in Stanton, there's a lot of times where I never go to Hurston, ever. I don't go there. I don't like slavers. I'm cool. So I don't ever go to Hurston. But when I do go back, I'm always blown away about how much better it looks every single time.
I like when they secretly drop in new details without anybody noticing. I don't know if y'all have seen recently, but how the ships explode look
it's like 1,000 times better. Just and I love that. I'm like, did they always used to just blow up in a fireball like that? Did I change a setting? What happened? Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like they just secretly add in stuff throughout it. And I think it's just, you're right. I mean, it's looking better and better and better each time.
Also could be server, servers running a little bit better and stuff like that too, to where your animations are actually, you're actually seeing the animation for what it actually is. Yeah, and you're seeing every frame for what it is.
No more T-posing.
Hey.
By the way, just real quick, Fentburger knows what I'm talking about at least. Thank you. Somebody else who put too much money into FIFA. I hope you didn't.
Pick and Pele.
I mean, so I think, I don't know. I'm really curious as to where they're going to draw the line, if they draw the line. Because this has kind of been typical, whether you agree with the backlash or the criticism or not, every time there is some, CIG will typically go, oh, yeah, don't worry, totally hear you. And then it doesn't really change much. So I definitely hear certain people within the community getting frustrated with that. Do you guys, I guess, what do you guys see 1.0 being like? In your mind, are you more just the sandbox?
More I mean, I like the
server maintenance on the
aspect.
Regular.
Yeah, hopefully just a more solid game. Like they have the game, just kind of put all the puzzles together, right? Give us the trading, give us things that would help our community, kind of group bed logging, and just so many little things that they could just add without even adding these extra features and stuff. I'm hoping for a year of maybe we have these cool things every 3 or 4 months, and the feature is the stuff they promised us every month. That'd be great. That'd be really cool. So,
in terms of the patch,
what was that?
In terms of the patch, you mean so do you mean you want them to go back to more of a traditional quarterly patch with just having it be beefier, or you're saying along the line as they're releasing
the events themselves, like a monthly, if you're gonna do monthly features, maybe add the actual what we should have in the game, like pizza and certain things or there's this store in Crusader, it's been there for 5 years that says it's going to be open soon or whatever. I can't remember the lore behind it, but there's just so many things that they start and they don't finish in that sense, and it's very great ideas, and maybe those features should be just things that they could kind of polish and finish, and then every 3 months we get this cool event, orbital laser mining and stuff like that. I think the monthly events are cool, right? But it's a little much, and maybe every 3 months, and that monthly thing is, hey, you can drink coffee instead of just at ArcCorp. You can get one at Lorville. You can get one, I know it's nerdy, but it's just little things like that would be cool too.
I get that. It would be cool to have. So when they made the switch to content driven, I was like, okay, what does this mean? And I think so far they've done a pretty decent job. I don't like the FOMO aspect. Do this now or forever hold your peace. I'm not a big fan of that, especially
I'm not a big fan of the FOMO either.
I don't think it's very fair to people who, because one of the biggest problems with Star Citizen, and I think the community knows this without necessarily admitting it all the time, is we all have different problems, right? Across the board, we'll all get certain bugs, but then per playthrough or per play session, I should say, we'll each have little different bugs, things that don't work for you properly. One guy can get out of the hangar, the other guy can't, so you gotta go jump in his hangar so he can fly you to another. There's amazing workarounds, and I always give so much credit to the community for being able to come up with workarounds faster than any other community I've ever met before, and that's impressive. Congrats, SC people. And I also think the support you get in global when you run into a bug is pretty fascinating at times.
Or whenever you have a dead person on board and you start to take his body to dump him out the bottom hangar, and then he's still alive, talking in global chat, asking to be set down, and then you realize that you're torturing some new character, some new guy that just started playing the game, doesn't probably know how to backspace, and you're just beating him against every wall you can, taking him out the fucking hangar to Idris. Felt so bad, but also laughed so hard that night. It was great.
Oh
made a
god.
TikTok about it. Who would do such things?
Well, you know, Dead
Who
Frag,
would-
his for when it works, his game loop is in-capping people and ransoming them in game to like their buddies and stuff like that. It's great. There's been some amazing interactions there. Very funny if you like more of the RP style. And I think, you know, something we didn't really touch on, but RP is going to be huge in this game.
Mhm.
I don't think that can be discounted.
Absolutely.
But,
No.
you know, I will say it doesn't seem to, you know, none of this criticism seems to have really slowed down the funding. You know what I mean?
Oh,
For
absolutely
CH.
not.
The numbers we were talking about earlier, 26.75 million just this month. We're on route to, if things continue on this trend, over 120 million for the year, even though we're only 5 months, almost 6 months in. So that clearly hasn't really stopped the community. Do you think CIG will respect the community forever until 1.0, or do you think, you know, every time they get away with one of
Yeah.
these things, they'll encroach a little bit more and a little bit more? And I've seen the comments in the chat of, you know, will it really change 1.0? You know, if there are these aspects of the game that you can pay for and not have to grind for.
I've always felt that Star Citizen CIG has been very respectful of their community and their backers. Maybe not 100% all the time, but for the most part, yes, they have.
They're willing to go above and beyond,
They
right?
they are, they really are, and they try to make, you know, they have a lot of community feedback, obviously, and I mean, dude, without us, what are they going to do? Literally,
What every other
if we
game
all said,
developer
hey,
does.
what if we said, hey, we're just not going to play this game anymore? Like all of the community, I mean, it would definitely make an impact. So I don't think there's going to be a tipping point like that where they're just going to encroach so far that it's going to tip the community completely
No, they're always gonna-
against them.
They're
But
always
you-
gonna skip the rock.
What?
They're always gonna skip the rock. They're gonna throw the rock and see how
Yeah.
far it skips, and then
Yeah.
if they can skip it farther the next time, they'll skip it farther. It's any business. They're gonna, you know, try to make money and see if people are okay with investing and/or, you know, giving up said money and stuff like that, and go from there.
So
It's strategy.
do you guys hear the argument of the sunken cost fallacy with Star Citizen? Because, you know, Devil and I are more recent citizens. How long have you been in game, Sweetie?
My brother is a OG backer.
Okay.
He bought it for me back in 2020. So a lot of my insight and just kind of it's Arkin in chat there. A lot of my insight and back end is from him and even my buddy Wardo for a while. He's original backer too. So just I had a couple backers that I played in the beginning with through the 318s and stuff like that that kind of helped me kind of get used to the game. But I remember him taking me out on the space station, Port Olisar, where he was just hopping around. He actually made me get in game. We took a rock out on, I forgot what the fuck planet it was. There was no points of destination. It was super dark. I couldn't see shit. I was not enjoying myself, I will say. You know what I mean? Like at that time, I was just new dad and stuff. Had a newborn and stuff. So I was just kind of that
Congrats.
timing just wasn't right. And then thank you. And then as of recent, he kind of like put in my ear, hey, you should try out Star Citizen again. And I did. And I just saw how much you could do, even when you just didn't want to play the actual game. You just like, oh, I just want to go do this, fuck around a little bit. It's great. It's great that you can just kind of break free. And there's go-kart track on there. Waiting for our paintball course one of these days. You know what I mean? Even though they haven't, you know, allegedly never going to be. One day that'd be great. Maybe inside the hangar of the Idris. But the go-kart track's cool, and a lot of the cool things that they have in the game for us, racing, and I don't know. It's a great game. You can go to Arena Commander. You have all the game modes. It's got more to it than what others, even people that just pick up the game, even know. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I bring that up is because I think people who have been in the game longer will more likely feel like they're the ones losing out compared to others. So, like, for example, there are people in my community who are Legatus. And when I found out that Legatus doesn't actually get you everything that's coming in the game, and you gotta pay for the additions, like the new ships, I was like, wait, hold up, what? So you're saying it's like for the price of a very nice car or a really good down payment on a house, I still don't get all the new stuff coming out? And I
Yeah,
guess
that's
the overall point I've been
ridiculous.
trying to make tonight is I love this game. I want it to succeed, but I would warn against certain practices.
Yes.
And and I think it's really hard for us at times who are heavily invested in Star Citizen, whether you're a streamer, content creator, or you're just an OG backer who's put in a lot of money. I think I don't necessarily completely agree with the sunk cost fallacy theory right now with people in Star Citizen, but it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm halfway to the next level past Grand Admiral. Don't look at that. But I think we have to kind of pay attention to that. And I think we got to ask ourselves, like, and it's not in terms of like, we should get our money back. That's not at all what I'm saying. I think it's more of a, well, why is it only this last year that we saw a push for playability? Because, I hear what you're saying. It's a great game when it works. And the problem is you're not getting it to work all the time, right? So as much as I love the playability stuff, it still has its issues. We're not there yet. Did you guys notice that they call it early access now and not alpha?
Really?
Yeah. So if you go to the website, where is it? But yeah, I noticed that the other day. They changed the wording around on little things, and the reason why I say that is because it actually feels like we're getting a push towards 1.0. I think it may have changed in the RSI disclaimer when you launch the launcher. Let me look real quick. And see, Arkin makes a great point. I've never been burned by early access. Wait, hold up. We've all been burned by early access. I think the reality is Star Citizen's past that point. You know what I mean? It's not Camelot Unchained, which if you guys are looking for a hilarious Kickstarter story that lasted 12 years, it's actually been kind of going on at the same time as Star Citizen, but like is the perfect example of what not to do for a Kickstarter. Go check out Camelot Unchained. Kira makes a really good video. It's hilarious, and it'll make you feel better about supporting Star Citizen. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't trying to like be a negative Nancy, but I know a lot of us in the community, we tend to stick around the positive stuff because we already have our frustrations within the game. Whether you're industrial, PvP, PvE, whatever it may be, there's aspects of the game that are going to be frustrating because it's in development. I think we need to keep giving them as much good feedback as possible because we are the testers. It's pretty much obvious at this point that the QA team has gotten very small over at CIG. With the departures of the two key guys with server meshing, I don't find that to be as problematic because I am still so impressed with server meshing as like a technology and what they've managed to accomplish. And I don't expect dynamic anytime soon. I'm okay with that. But yeah.
I love when they first implemented it, and like you were playing with your buddy, and like you're just on different meshes somehow, and like you're so close. What's going on? Log out, go to a different server. Fun times.
You're in the same hangar, but you don't see each other, but the names.
Yeah, good times.
So, and I think to answer some of the stuff that's in chat is, I think once you get into the game, once you find that thing that hooks you into it, you're kind of a part of the cult. You are now amongst, you are a citizen of the stars, literally at this point, once you kind of get into it. And everybody has their moment that's going to grab them over others. I think my moment was someone was like, oh yeah, go over here and try to find this place on a moon. I was like, what? And I just ended up flying around for 30 minutes and I was like, but that was so cool. Even though there's no real gameplay around it. I was just in a ship looking out, just wow. Like the openness, the expanse was really
The immersion.
Yeah.
It's me and Fuego. I love Fuego and like taking my Geo and just flying around and just finding little family rocks that I'll probably blow up and lose, more likely, but it's fun mining them. It's great times. Never make it to the destination to sell them, it seems, but I try.
And one of the reasons why I think we need to be careful of the fact that we're such a culty community is I you can't and Shaky mentioned it, you mentioned it with iRacing, there are games that monetize heavier, but just because there's worse doesn't mean this is good, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And DCS was the example Shaky used earlier. When I realized how much money someone can spend in DCS, I was like, wait, hold up, what? This is a military sim, what the hell? You can still spend more in Star Citizen, but you have to spend that money in DCS to have access to certain things. Whereas Star Citizen, it's more if you want a specific
Paywalled.
ship. Yeah, it is
No,
paywall
it's not.
in the sense that you can at least earn it in Star Citizen. You cannot earn it there.
Yeah. Or it becomes available a couple minutes later or something like that. So that's the one big thing that nobody points out. There's so many games that, like you said, are just kind of like paywall. But this game, you have $40, and then play the game.
Well, you guys heard about what the CEO of Rockstar, I think it was the CEO of Rockstar saying, I think it was you, Letard, that was saying something about it. Was it the CEO of Rockstar Games saying how games should be charged by the hour?
I don't know if it was a CEO, but somebody at Rockstar had alluded to this in an interview a year ago. That I think it was maybe a comparison they were making. I forget exactly how it came to be, but it was basically saying like, well, if we charge people per hour in GTA, imagine the money we would have made. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you could really imagine. I mean, actually, you can't imagine how much money they would have made.
That's a scary thought.
It's incredibly
That's a scary thought.
It's frightening
For us gamers.
Now,
No.
we had this conversation briefly in my Discord when some of this was going on, and I am very happy that the EU is coming up with some new laws for some of the predatory monetization. It's mainly going to affect kids, and it'll mainly affect games like FIFA, Madden, those games that really play on the well, if you want to be able to beat this person, you're going to have to drop some money, and hopefully you get this person out of a pack. But by the way, the drop chance on that pack is about 0.1%. Another great example, Battlefront 2, hated by most when it came out because of its heavy loot box mechanics, where essentially you couldn't progress your player unless you got something out of a loot box. Now, in the last 2 weeks, it has become one of the most played games because they fixed everything. And it's supposed to be really fun. And I'm actually thinking of downloading it again and trying it out. But a lot of people have gone back over to Battlefront 2 saying it's actually fantastic now. But it took them, 4 more years after release? 5 years after release to get there? So, if the backlash is big enough, if the money dries up, they will make the change. And that was also kind of the point I was trying to make earlier, was typically your wallet speaks way louder than your comments on Spectrum or your emojis. As much as we love leaving little happy face turds when we don't like a comment, I don't think it has as much weight, pun intended, as a closure of the wallet. So, I really hope that we finish off this year really strong. And I guess to kind of end the last topic to end this on, unless you guys have anything you want to add about what you think 1.0 will be.
No, okay.
Wow. I'm good with it.
With what it potentially will be, or with the yeah.
Well,
So I don't think we really know. I mean, we know there's a lot of stuff that's going to come in between here and then, but what's it truly going to be?
Yeah,
like?
everybody's inventory gets.
They kind of
wiped.
marked off what they were going to do, and they're trying to do the Expanse, right? And I think the Astra is going to be coming before 1.0. So obviously they're trying to do refining on ships and stuff, which is a good thing. With the Pioneer, that'll introduce more things as in what they can do. I don't know. So this is what I'm curious with. Is the Pioneer going to have to walk in order for the Ironclad to succeed due to component making and just what it can do? Like, or does the Ironclad have to kind of be, ready, or just kind of, have those abilities to kind of make things? Obviously, two different ships. One does shipbuilding and base building and stuff like that. One does more of a vehicular component type building, aspect, but still, they utilize the same type of systems in the sense of, I would, put material in, get something out of it, which is, crafting, right? So hopefully crafting will be there, which would be a good thing, and that'll, obviously attract more players to come back and maybe keep players that come and check out these new things to stick around a little bit longer.
All right. So
I didn't think I had anything to say.
no, I mean, I think you bring up an interesting point. That's actually something I was thinking about as you were answering. Was I think I would like to see ships have to work together a bit more. Like, I think the Pioneer should depend on. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Ironclad, or it doesn't have to necessarily, but like it should depend on regular C2s, Caterpillars, Ironclads, Hull C's coming in to help get it. And I think they need to.
I'm talking about systems of it actually working for that, like gameplay system for it to actually be in. So we have the Reclaimer that can make multi tools, and you have the Vulture who can do multi tools. But that's as far as we've gone with crafting. So
Fuses.
once they add that extra thing, fuses too as well. Once they add that more things to craft, or just a better system to craft, I'm curious whether it's going to have to be implemented or kind of tested into the Ironclad, because I think we're going to see obviously Ironclad first before the Pioneer. But I don't know. I'm curious. Are we going to go ahead and see the Pioneer, and then the Ironclad is going to be the thing that we see next year or something like that? I'm just curious as to what. And obviously Pioneer we're not going to get till next year. Two, or I'm not really too brushed up on when we're actually going to get that, if they actually announce that. But it would be great to kind of see those things. But it was weird that they pushed the Odyssey back.
They did, right? Yeah.
That's weird. That's different.
Well, because who makes the Odyssey? Is it still RSI? Misk, right?
Misk.
Okay. Well, that's probably why then. But then that also probably means that the whole D and E are going to be coming out around that, right? Because they're going to reuse all those assets, kind of like they did with the Polaris, Perseus, Galaxy. Like their plan was originally, we're going to build all the assets for this one because then we can use them for this and this, and it goes a lot faster. If they're continuing with that mentality, then yeah, I think it'll be probably something we see later on. The Odyssey was one that I was actually really looking forward to, actually. But I think we still have to wait and see what they decide to do with onboard refineries in those ships and what that actually means and ends up being. I don't think they've fully figured that out. So, but yeah, I'd love to see a bit more synergy between ships. I'd love to see systems, full loops, I guess, kind of coming to fruition. But I think base building will kind of fill in a lot of those gaps, right? You'll be able to use your golem to mine, to then put on the Arastra, to then take to your base, to what I mean? Or you'll start to have those chains and those links in the gameplay form naturally, whereas right now they're there, but they're very short. Like, for example, you go mining, it's that mining ship 90% of the time straight to a refinery and then back out to go mine again, right? It's only with this last patch that you can actually take the bags off, put them on a cargo grid, and then kind of have that game loop where it's like we can stay out longer if we work as a team and we have the cargo support. I think it's rolling in 4.1.1 that they finally got the cargo bags not to snap halfway through the grid, or is that still a thing? Because I haven't tried it in a minute.
I don't know about the snapping. I want to say they fixed that, and you can actually, I believe, sell from the bags too. I don't know if that's next patch or this patch, but
I think that's next
you
one.
can sell from the bags too as well, which is very exciting because it's kind of that's where some of the issues are. They have these things and they're just not finishing them up. So that would be good features that they could add, is just, hey, we finished your ship.
Yeah, you can fully use
drones are in the game.
Yeah, your Carrack is useful now. That's one
Yes.
thing I know not to expect until later on, but no problem. we will probably. I mean, I don't. I really want exploration to come into the game, but I know that's probably one of the last things they'll deal with.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna, they did announce a new creature coming in. Now I heard something about variations of current creatures, and I don't know if anybody's, trying to heavily avoid spoilers and you haven't been paying attention to Evocati, but if that's the case, then go ahead and cover your ears here for the next 30 seconds. But one of the things I don't know if you've noticed, but there's the REM, the radioactivity. Now looks like it's going to be coming into game sooner than later. And it looks like some of those animal variants are going to be. Yeah.
My apologies.
Very good.
We're getting Stormbreaker as a new sandbox activity, and we're getting dynamic rain, radiation. We're getting new Volt Prism shotgun, and the Sterling exploration suit.
That I saw because that's the radiation. Yeah.
And then the events all in Pyro too.
Yeah, well, they have the associated science and development facilities. I don't know. It says ArcCorp added dynamic rain, so they have it at ArcCorp too. So it's all over the place, it seems, depending on planet and/or location. We'll see soon. They'll have a PTU release, I guess, possibly tonight or tomorrow for everyone to test. Wave 1.
DV, is it already in PTU? Let's see. What does the launcher say? It is not.
It's in Evocati PTU right now, NDA.
So
PTU is now open to Wave 1 audience, 9:21 p.m. So that was Eastern time. So that
15 minutes ago.
Yep. So they just opened up PTU.
Cool. Well, it's a good thing I stopped playing PTU because I just remembered the only reason why I had access to it was because of my subscription. But yeah, I can't do PTU anymore. We're already testing the game live. I don't want to go through 2 waves of tests.
I kind of like going in PTU personally and just checking it out briefly. It's not worth the $10 a month to me to do that, but every now and then when something really excites me, I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get it and see if I could get into Wave 1 or Wave 2 and then go in there and scope it out. But that's worth it to me.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you like to do, I personally, I think the development of this game would be in a better state if there was no PTU, if it was just all live or whatever you want to call it. I don't like calling it live compared to PTU. I think it gives false assumptions for certain people, unless you've been in the game for a while, and yes, but people coming in, they don't necessarily understand the difference between it. I think it would also have helped development in terms of actually getting the numbers of players they need to continuously test this stuff out, because it's become more and more obvious in PTU. They don't get the player count. That's why sometimes you get those jumps to the next waves really soon, because if they don't see the right of player count, well, they got to open up a wave. And I don't like the wave system. I would be more okay with PTU if there was Evo, then everybody else gets to test it, because it's just another way for them to sell you a membership, for you to want to test something out that they need you to test out, so you shouldn't be paying for it, is kind of my approach there. But again, I love this game. I want it to succeed. I think it's interesting that not all of us agree on how to do it, which is important. I think if we all were like, oh yeah, we need to do this, I think it'd probably be pretty boring. What I will...
I like a test channel. I think a test channel is good for the game. I didn't like or appreciate when they would just add it right to the PU, because it was like, okay, here's this patch, boom, now you can't actually play the game for the next month until we figure this shit out. It was annoying.
I hate that so much.
So I do like that, but I wish it wasn't like locked, like you said, like paywall locked or whatever. Like it was just, maybe Evocati's fine, and then boom, PTU, everyone can kind of access it. Now make it where like the items you get transfer to the PU, so people actually play it the way they would. That's the problem. Is they don't play it the way they would.
There needs to be some
they fuck around in the PU. Excuse my language.
No, you're good. 18 plus.
They mess around way too much in the PTU, and it's just they're not playing the game like they normally would, and that's the problem. Is they're just once people start playing the game the way they would play it, then we start to see issues. So if we just, I don't know, maybe we'll get there one day. But yeah, PTU, even in my opinion, I've gone on PTU. I'm like, all right, this don't matter, right? Everything I do here is not really going to carry over. I'm going to do my best to test, but I'm not going to worry about any items or anything like that. So I don't know, maybe it's just more care, more things that they could kind of implement that could transfer over to your main character that could kind of get you to want to play it a little bit better in the PU rep.
I absolutely
simple
agree.
rep or something like that. Anything.
I'm so sorry. I have to do a quick break. Right before I had to go because I'm stupid. We were talking about PTU compared to live, compared to, not having it, having it. Do you guys remember when, what was 2+ years ago now, you would play a certain amount of the PTU and you get a cash bonus when it went live?
Was this
In
no.
3.17, that was still a thing. And then it ended, or beginning of 3.17, it was still a thing. It ended pretty quickly. It was terrible because that really incentivized me to want to be in PTU a lot more. Then also PTU, the waves used to not be behind the paywall of the subscription. It used to be around how much time you put in game.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was really cool. And I thought that was very, that was really nice. I mean, that was not really nice. I think that was super proper on their end of just being like, hey, you guys put in the time. You guys are involved in this. Boom, here's a little bonus so that you didn't waste your time, essentially, right? So that's something I kind of hope they bring back, right? And I think the giving wave 1 to people who really play the game was better for them testing wise, because you get people who are more dedicated, who will put the effort in and will give you better data. At least that's how I would see it. So I hope they go back to something kind of like that.
It'd be nice.
Yeah,
Some sort of.
that would be nice. They need to incentivize. Yeah, they need to incentivize it somehow instead of us paying them to go in there and check it out. I agree.
Yeah, it'd be nice
I mean,
to,
even if we go in there as like say a sub and we get access to it, give us something back, like in game, whatever, to want to continue to go back in there and test and get that stuff done. I think that would get a lot more people to go in there and actually figure out with what stuff is going on with it. It would give them probably more feedback too. It would benefit them tremendously.
So that's what I was kind of going for. Is I think the more you incentivize people to give you feedback, but more so to give you proper feedback. Because if they had like a sheet of like, here's how to properly tell us what's going on, I'd be like, yes. But I haven't really seen that around. Every time I've gone to the issue council, I'm like, okay, what am I doing? What do they want? It would be nice to have that a feature available in game as well. I think that would be a great development tool for them to be able to in-game bug reporting. Maybe someday soon. TM.
In-game bug reporting would be awesome. I still don't understand why they don't have that.
It might be tied to the UI
I see you
team.
cringing there. You cringed a little bit there.
That was all of a sudden just very depressed.
Yeah, as you
like,
say.
oh,
Yeah,
God.
like that would be amazing. I'm like,
subject?
please, I'm that's like a dream. No, I'm like, give me in-game bug reporting. I would be like, oh hey, problem. 1, did this. 2, did that. 3, this happened. I would love something like that. Like every time I've done a beta, dude, they've always had an in-game bug reporting system like that.
Guy
Like,
spawned in my ship, started screaming at me, took off all of his clothes, kicked me out of my ship, flew away.
yeah, no,
feature,
I
say
think
yes.
that'd be great. I think that would be like, I don't know. They probably don't have the system set up for it. Like, why don't they have an in-game bug reporting tool?
Well, that's why I said I think it's tied to the UI team, because they had the opportunity, I guess, to put it in when they redesigned the UI to a certain extent. For 4.0, Was it 4.0 we got the redesign UI or right before? I forget. And that might have been an opportunity, but then, you know, we touched on this briefly earlier with, you know, systems that get started and then never get finished. Besides maybe them also having ADHD, the more likely answer is that the problem for CIG now, and I'm more and more convinced of this, is how long the development's been, because you can't have someone who's a developer spend 10 years at a company and not have a game come out. It's kind of tough, right? It doesn't look great on the resume, at least when you're trying to go apply other places.
Yeah.
But I will say that I know they've come out in the past and said, well, certain people from this team don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we don't want to touch it. It's someone would have to come in and completely redesign it to.
Isn't that why we're not getting the Banu?
Oh, that's the shipbuilding team around the BMM. Yeah, completely. They all.
Well, I
left.
mean that kind of goes with the whole theme here of like, hey, a lot of the team has changed, and you know, I mean that's back even with elevators too. Oh, the guy that designed the elevators doesn't work here anymore. You know, I mean it's kind of that seems like a trend with them. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
No,
My bad.
It is a trend. No, you're 100% right. It's absolutely a trend, and it's become a easy excuse.
Mhm.
And I think that's something you got to push back on, because you nailed it. It's only until this patch that elevators are more or less reliable. Up until this
Yeah.
patch, I was convinced
I
the
s-
end game boss was the elevator. It's nothing else. We already had the end game boss. Is if you can get past the elevator, you beat the game.
Yeah.
Now
I
it's
still
Respawn. Now watch
still
out,
scream
Respawn,
like a
man.
little girl when I see a dark elevator. Man, I'm like, "Ah." Like, nope. You almost walk into it. It happened to me, I think, the other day, like once, and that was the first time in a long time that that's happened.
Where
But
at?
yeah. Oh, I don't know where I was.
Dangerous
I
Moose
was
says there are plenty of other games that have had taken 10 plus years to develop. They just weren't in the public eye. True to a certain extent, but all the examples that come to mind are terrible. Anthem, terrible example. Skull and Bones, terrible example. Typically, games that take that long take that long because of very troubled, rocky roads along the way. I was GTA 6. Well, GTA 6, you gotta remember that after GTA 5, they were working on Red Dead 2, so they didn't start GTA 6 until a little bit after. But also, it's Rockstar, Take Two, Take Two. I forget which one was their parent company, but it's a fuck ton of money.
Take Two. Yeah.
Take Two, right? Yeah, that's fuck
Yeah.
tons of money.
Yeah, they're gonna be adding like 2K type basketball gameplay to Grand Theft Auto, which is basically gonna like kill 2K supposedly. What they were saying, but they're gonna be adding like all these different things to GTA 6.
game inside the game. My mind is
inside the game.
blown.
Well, you guys know
Dude.
that's what Arena Commander is supposed to be, right? Arena Commander is supposed
A
to be
game
the
inside the
game
game.
inside the game.
Inside the game, yeah.
So I think
There's
if we
even
do
a
get,
game on the RSA website.
there is. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there is. I forget how I found it. There was where did I find that? It's like some like Star Blaster game, something. How did I find that? I found that with somebody. It was Orbs.
What with the can? What's that?
Oh, remember the can't? I don't know.
I'm gonna rewatch The Expanse soon. 7.
Hell yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because on a podcast I did like a month and a half ago with Sigelian and Bite Size Hobbit, one of the things that we talked about was the engine, and I brought up the question of do you feel that Star Citizen should have gone to an engine like Unreal or Unity at some point? And Sigelian had a really fantastic explanation for it, and he's a coder, knows way more about that crap than I do. I don't know anything about it. But he was like, the reason why you do that is because of scale. And Unreal, Unity, Godot, all these engines are not built for the same scale that we're trying to have in Star Citizen. Great example, Starfield. Starfield's engine, we all know the limits of the Creation Engine. It's been around for over a decade. It could not you would never have been able to have the same space travel in Starfield because of the engine. It just could not calculate those distances to and be precise, you know, at the further away from the center you go of your universe. And so like what Sigelian explained is, so like for example, at the center you can go millimeter by millimeter. The further you go away, it becomes centimeter, it becomes a meter, it becomes a kilometer. So you're off, your distances are off. So something like Unreal would have never worked for this. So I hear the scale argument, and I think that's a totally great argument as to why it has taken time. I think something that most people forget when it comes to why it's taken so long is we're doing 3 projects, not 1, not 2, 3. Star Engine, Squadron 42, and Star Citizen. That's each project, if you were to take it individually, only working on that would probably take 3 to 5 years to work on their own, right? So they Star Citizen, of their own choice, they made their own bed, decided to bite off more than they could chew very early on with trying to scale up, seeing how much money was coming in. Also, I recently learned, I don't know if you guys knew this, but one of the reasons why Lord Roberts started the Kickstarter originally wasn't to fund the game fully, but it was to prove that there was enough interest in space games to go to investors and ask for more money. So that was an interesting take. Now, I don't know, obviously.
And look where we are now.
I mean, yeah, holy shit. I don't think anybody would have seen this coming 12 years ago.
No.
But
By the way, Orbital reminded me there's a QR code on one of the cans that you can scan, and it brings you to the RSI website, and it's like Vanguard Force. It's a game.
In-game?
Yeah. Well, you scan the QR code, like with your phone. You look at the can. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
And it
That's
brings
cool.
you, and he posted the websites right there. And it's Vanguard Force, and if you click it, you can play a little game on the RSI website.
that's pretty
That's
cool. I'm
cool.
going to have to go check that out. Thank you for that, Riot. That's awesome. So, okay. Last question.
Hey, Cameron.
Last question. Do you guys think Squadron is coming out next year?
Yeah, more than likely.
More than
I don't see
likely?
why not. I would
Yeah,
hope
I don't
so.
see why not.
I just don't know when. Yeah, what
mean-
GTA 6 is coming out next year, right? So when are they
Mhm.
gonna strategically lay it out, like before, after? How do you think they would
Do you
want to
think-
put it out?
So I've
Star
been
Citizen
saying
fans
for...
are into GTA 6.
Yeah, dude, the world's going to be into GTA 6.
I mean, I'm not.
But you're not the world.
Yeah, well, I'm
I
my
gotta check it out. It's like literally my stomping ground. So
See,
I, like,
right here,
have to
two
fucking
out of
drive
3
around GTA 6.
are going to check out GTA 6. No, I get it. It's not for everybody. It's not everybody's game. But if you don't think that a majority of the gaming community as a whole is going to check it out, I
Yeah.
think that's a serious underestimation of what GTA 6 is. And I've been saying for a year and a half, they cannot release within... No gaming company is going to want to release within 3 months or a month prior and 6 months after. Because the market's just going to be saturated with people who are... if you release a month prior, you really got to bank on those first 3 weeks, because the second it's like, it's a week away from GTA 6, everybody's going to be like, hold up, let me put my money aside, because this thing's probably going to cost $150. So, like, hold up, I got to be ready. If I haven't bought a PlayStation or an Xbox yet, I got to go do that. No, I
Yeah.
think a lot of... I bought a PS5 last year. Why? Only for GTA 6 and Final Fantasy 7. Only reasons why I got a PlayStation. Otherwise, I don't see why you would go away from PC anymore. But there's an entire group of people who still stay console, and it's great. It's great for kids. I think kids have more fun with a console.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh, I
my,
thought you were saying
youngest on my
GTA
middle-
6 was great for kids.
It's
I'm like,
so great for kids, man. Super family friendly. Bring your family down to the living room. Everybody sit around and let's go see what the crocodiles are up to in the bayou. No, I mean, it's terrible.
I'm with Riot. Consoles are dead for me.
I mean, yeah, like I said, the only reason why I got a console is I was like, I want to be smart and have GTA 6 for everybody. No, stupid. Did not need to do that. This is really dumb. Super unnecessary. Family Edition GTA 6. Oh god, probably be like 99% of the game taken out. What's up, crazy eye?
You could walk around and everything's
Yes.
blurred out.
Everything's it's just a fuzzy screen, or there's just
Yeah.
black strips across everything. You can't see.
Yeah,
It's just
everything's
like this
censored.
mosaic. It'd be freaking hilarious. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, I mean,
Family edition.
so I think, okay, to go back to relate this back to Squadron 42 where we started. I think it's really important for Squadron to be a success. I want Squadron to be a success. I am more excited about Squadron 42 than Star Citizen. I'm one of those guys because I love space operas. I love a good story. Star Citizen is unique in the fact that it's a sandbox game that's gotten me interested into it, and I've never ever been interested in sandbox up till now. The Squadron 42 for me was was a selling point, and I bought Star Citizen before I discovered what Squadron 42 was, and I was like, wait, hold up, there's a single player? But anyways, that's because I was a huge Mass Effect fan. I loved all those games. Space operas are my thing. You know, Battlestar Galactica, The Expanse, all those shows and movies and games. Huge impact for me on my life growing up. So very, very excited to have a great space opera. You know, awesome cast. Daniel Day-Lewis, Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson. Who am I missing? So
Captain
many.
Picard.
Gary Oldman. Is Patrick Stewart in it? No, I don't think so.
Is he?
No,
No,
Henry
wait, he does a
Cavill.
voice pack. He does the voice pack for it. Never mind.
Mark Strong. Yeah. So many great voice actors, just talented actors are going to be involved with that. I have very Mark Mark no, damn it.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, thank you. The Witcher.
The Witcher, yeah.
They're you know, I really have so much hope for that. So I really do hope that they give themselves the best footing for it, that they give themselves the I don't think the release window matters so much, because if your game is good enough, you know, build it and they will come kind of thing. You know, if it's good, if people are talking about it, if us as content creators, if you know the bigger guys, the smaller guys, everybody's like, hey, this is worth checking out. People will check it out, no problem. But if the feedback when you know Squadron drops is, then it might not be so good. So I can appreciate them taking longer to get it ironed out and polished. But yeah, I think it has to be a really good and really big slam dunk. And Sandy had said she wanted the marketing push for Squadron 42 to be, you know, as big as possible to generate as much as possible, because we want that. Even if you're not a fan of Squadron, even if you don't really care, you want that to be a success, because that's what should finish funding Star Citizen. And for me, that's what would at least help STIG take a step back from maybe some more aggressive monetization, which I hope they don't get to,
Yeah.
but they may.
Yeah.
And that's how
really
you
good
make
point.
a game. And that's typically how studios develop, is they make a game, but they sell it, it does well, they make the next one. CIG, so there's another reason why, and this will be the last thing I have to say. It's important for this not to fail, and not at least it's important for it not to fail, and it's important for it to have success without being seen as predatory or, you know, bad with monetization. Because if this succeeds, they will have proven that you can go make a game without having to go ask the big studios or big investors to open up their wallet. Meaning, you don't have to be tied to what they want you to do. And if Chris can actually pull his shit together and get this and prove to everybody, hey, look, what we did was insane and it worked, I think that would be big.
That'd be cool.
Be very big.
Yeah, my son likes to do coding and development on the side, stuff like that. So I always encourage him to invest in himself, right? You know, you will more likely have a job when you get older and all this other stuff. But if you invest in yourself and keep working on yourself and your abilities and all that good stuff, you can, you know, there's no telling what you can do, you know, as long as you have an open mind to everything around you.
True. And then, you know, it's important, I think, and you mentioned this earlier, of, you know, take care of your employees kind of thing.
Yes.
One of the reasons why Nintendo and a lot of Japanese companies tend to do really well is they're very loyal to their developers. There's not the same turnover as in the West over there. People tend to stay with the company for much longer. So somebody being at a company over there for 10 to 20 years is actually totally normal. Here, if somebody tells you I've been with this company for more than 4 years, you're like, holy crap, you're a veteran. You've been here forever. Like you're
Yeah.
you're ancient.
Going on 3 years at my current job, to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
this is the only good job I've had. I'm turning 40 this year. So good. It's still stressful, but anyways.
Yeah, of course. No, and I hope you stay there very long. This is the first time. Oh, I knew it was you. You freaking changed your name again. Sorry. Thank you for the sub, by the way. Instead of complaining, I should have said thank you. Thank you very much. It's like, but yeah, no, I think it's really important to take care of your people. This will be the first time I've actually worked at a company for more than 6 months. I've been a freelancer my whole life, so the idea of stability is like so foreign to me. Like, working at the same place for 8 months now, I'm like, I still have the reflex of like, where's my next job coming from? It's like, dumbass, you have a job. You're there next week. Like, I've been project to project for so long. Yeah. Anyways, so I totally get it, and for me, it's weird. But yeah, so you both think Squadron will come out 26?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I'm thinking it's going to, yeah. I mean, that's what they said, right?
They've said a lot of things in the past.
I know they have.
Yeah,
I'm trying to have a
hope-
little faith here.
No, I think it's
I hope
be realistic.
To be honest with you, I wasn't really focused too much on it coming out in the sense of like I am gonna enjoy it, right? But I do enjoy the PU. But the fact that you pointed out that like that being successful coming out, attracting more people, bringing more revenue, could potentially, not only bring less of a hit in our wallets on the PU side, but also bring some cool shit along with it. That actually gets me a little bit more excited about Squadron than I was before. Not saying I wasn't in that aspect, but yeah, it's pretty neat.
No,
I'm going to watch other people play Squad.
Yeah, you can come hang out and watch me. It's fine.
All right, sounds good. Because I'm not huge into single player games. I've always liked the aspect of co-oping or online. That's just been my thing. Not like I can't remember the last real single player game that I played that okay. I'll give you an example. The last single player game that I played that I lost my shit over was oh my god, what the hell is the name of it now? I'm drawing a blank. It was based off an anime. Afro Samurai. Afro Samurai?
Afro Samurai was the name, right? Yeah. I didn't know they made a game.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. It was on the 360?
Got you. Hold up. Hold that
Xbox
thought.
360.
We're gonna say thank you to Sweaty, who has mentioned that he needs to get going here soon. So Devil and I are gonna talk shit for a little bit longer, probably about
Okay.
Sweaty,
About
but
Sweat.
don't. But
Yeah.
Go
I'm
follow
trash.
this guy.
No, don't do that. I'm trash. I appreciate you. Thank
but
you
please,
for having me
again, we're gonna last shout out for Sweaty. Don't worry, you'll see him very soon.
Hey, Sweat.
on. Love you too,
Wait.
right?
Point upwards. Touch
Hold
my
on.
finger.
A delay. Hold on.
Wait, can I put
Okay.
like heavenly music
Oh my
on
God.
at the same time? Wait, hold up.
Yeah. Wait.
Wait, hold on. Left hand. There you go. Connected.
Wait, I'm on.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank
Yep.
you, Sweaty.
Yep,
Everybody, please go
Thank
show
you.
him some love. You were awesome to have on as a guest. Really appreciate you. And then, yeah, everybody, this will be out on YouTube soon. So make sure to go check out the YouTubes. But yeah, Devil and I are going to talk shit for a little bit longer. Again, everybody, big applause and thank yous to Sweaty.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated.
That guy, man. I heard he likes to call himself trash.
Really, you too, man? I thought it was just a
Yeah.
rumor. I guess it must be true
Yeah.
now.
He was good to have on you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had him on, man.
No,
It was good.
I love having you guys on. I actually, this is kind of weird. So recently, I found it more enjoyable to talk about Star Citizen than to play the game.
Hey, listen. I don't blame you. Okay, I've had my frustrations. I know that Coco the other day had his okay. So Coco, Coyote Cody there in your chat had a bug, the med bed loop where he
Oh,
would oh yeah, it was bad. And I was getting anxiety just watching him go through that because he would get almost to the hangar and he was on New Babbage. He would get to the hangar and then it pop him right back into the med bed, and he had to shoot orbitals to get a crime stat, and somehow orbital got the crime stat too. And but yeah, he went to prison and got it fixed. But just watching him go through that, I was like, dude, I have patience, but I do not have that much patience, and I try to have as much patience with the with Star Citizen.
it's a necessary thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, like let's be honest, you kind of need to be patient if you're gonna play this. It's it's not for those who don't have the time to get into something. And like sometimes when people have asked me like, should I play Star Citizen? I'm like, well, do you have the time to get into a game? Like, what do you mean? Like, take some time to get into Star Citizen. I think it's pretty rare that
I tell people you got to have patience to play this game. If you do not have the patience, do not pick it up. You are going to hate it. You're going to hate it. And I'm just being real with them. Like that's time and patience, honestly. Like, I was thinking about getting this game. Well, yeah, are you okay with bugs? And I'm, I'm not gonna be like, oh, hey, yeah, just use my code. If you have the time and patience and you want to get into it, you can use my code. But I'm not gonna I try not to push people into something that they're not gonna enjoy, because I hate when that happens with me. Like, oh, hey, you need to get this game to play with us, and then I go drop money on the game and then play it like once or twice, and that's it. And it's like, well, there goes $40.
Yep. No, I get that. And I think I had a whole period as I was trying to bring everybody I could into Star Citizen. Like, no, you guys just don't get it. It's just the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, sliced bread is for pussies, or like bitches, excuse me. But anyways, like, it put some strain on some friendships. It maybe wasn't the best deal that I made them. It got pretty frustrating. So actually, the guy that I started playing Star Citizen with, he still streams Tarkov, because that's where we were before I came over to Star Citizen. But he was following the streamer, and he's like, oh, he's trying Star Citizen. And I had been following the game for like a year and a half at that point, and I hadn't pulled the trigger on getting it yet. Yeah. And he's like, I did it. And I was like, fine, fucker, I'll join you. Let's go. And then what's funny is he barely lasted 2 weeks, and he was like, I can't do this. It's too much. It's too buggy. And I'm still here. So, 3 years later.
See, and
maybe he was a smart one.
That's kind of similar to my story as well. I was hanging out with one of my buddies that we'd always game like different games together and stuff. And I forget what we were playing, but it was like right at the end of 317 is when I got it. And I was like, I just looked online. I was like, badass space games. And then I saw something come up like, oh, Star Citizen. And I was like, let me check this out. I went and looked, and I was like, huh. I didn't know anything about the game. Nothing. I just did it. I went and bought a cutter package, and I didn't play most of 318, and then I got into it like last year, like consistently a lot, like the end of last year. And I love it. I'm here. They got me for life.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they stick around for that long. But
yeah,
I would like to one day have a private Star Citizen server.
Oh yeah, that would be way cool.
Just to be like, I've got my I've got my own server meshed crazy ass server. That'd be dope.
You get your server on
Excuse me.
Nitrado.
Oh God. I've been dealing with DayZ server stuff for the last 2 months. It's just a lot of fun, but it's given me a lot of appreciation for game development because I put mods on a server, I break everything. I can only imagine what it's like for these guys working on code that's 10 years old, trying to add in new stuff. So
Oh yeah.
that gave me a lot of appreciation for what they do. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm here for the long haul. I have every intent of seeing this through to the end. I hope it gets to the end, but I just hope it doesn't get too crazy. I don't like paying for stuff to get it. I like getting it in game.
Yeah.
But if you give me the
Yeah.
option to buy it, I'm probably gonna buy it at some point. Maybe not right away.
I'm kind of like that too. Like, I kind of want to, like, yeah, I understand the grind for the Polaris is going to be a big grind. I'm kind of for that because I don't want to drop 970 whatever dollars it is. If I had that money to drop on a Polaris, would I? No, probably not. Because I mean, one, I've got plenty of friends that have it. Two, it's attainable in game. But there are things in the game where I'm just like, yeah, I think I have to have that. Like the MX, I'm like, yep, I think I have to have that. And like I said, I've wanted the QI or key, however you want to say it, for a while because interdiction is something that I like to do. I can't wait for that to become a viable system in the game, to where I can transfer cargo from one ship to another through necessary means or bribery or whatever. I'm not saying I'm a pirate. I'm just a material transfer person.
Yeah, it's fine. You're
Yeah.
a smuggler. I'm a smuggler.
Yeah,
I just
smuggler
Yeah.
through various ways.
we don't ask. We don't like to know where things come from. We just take it.
Yeah.
But no, Seven asks, how do y'all feel about the high spec requirements for the game? Because I keep seeing ads for. How would this run on
What?
cloud gaming? Like how?
There ain't no way.
There's if Google couldn't figure it out for their console, that was a complete failure. Which can't even remember the name of it right now. How would you figure it out for Star Citizen? Like I know PlayStation has certain games that you can stream directly
No
through,
chance.
their PS Now Plus thing, whatever. Stadia, was that what it was called? I forget.
Stadia, yeah.
Google failure is what it
Yeah.
ended up being. But that idea, I understand the appeal of potential cloud gaming. I personally am too old school, I think, to ever fully embrace it because, I've had to deal with power outages, and I wouldn't be able to play that if there was a power outage. Not that I can play Star Citizen, but I have other games, so you know what I mean. I don't like the idea of games becoming full streaming. I think that would be not so bueno.
Oh, that's a step backwards for big games like this. It's probably appropriate for some games, but not Star Citizen. I mean, any kind of FPS shooter where latency matters would not be good for cloud. I wouldn't think.
I mean, I think you'd have to first get the game ironed out before you could even consider really
Oh yeah.
getting anything streaming on this. How the hell would you do that? Yeah, the problem is your bandwidth. So,
Mm-hmm.
Well, Riot, if you're looking for a PvE partner, Blipped and I may come join you at one point. I'm waiting for the 1.0 on Tarkov, but because that's another project that I got into back in 2019, and yeah, pew pew, and I put so many thousands of hours into that game, but I can't do the PvP anymore. It's too much. It's way too toxic. It's super frustrating. So the PvE is the way to go if you're looking for a more relaxed, chill environment. But the hackers, yeah, were just too crazy. That's one thing I will say about Star Citizen, to give it some praise before we go, is the code's so broken you don't get hackers.
Well, that's
I'm kidding.
technically-
of course, yes.
yeah. I mean, poor expat and SWET the other day. I guess there's, since the free fly, there's been an uprise in the hackers going after streamers. But yeah, it's kind of been ridiculous. But That's what they do when the free fly happens, I guess.
Yeah,
No.
although, free flies tend to be getting better, but it does seem like I see
They are.
overall frames are getting better. I was watching a video earlier. It was like, when is Vulkan and DLSS coming in? I'm like, let them get the game working. If we can get good, steady things without those tools, even better.
I remember when they had where you could enable DLSS 4 just for it was like, I don't know, a week or something. And oh my God, did it look so good.
Nice. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people are hoping Vulkan comes back on because apparently that was good. Now, as a streamer, I never did Vulkan because it has a cache and it'll start to slow down your
Slow
system
down. Yep.
within 2 to
Yep.
3 hours. The cache gets too big. So you have to restart the game, and that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But all right, man. So any last thoughts on Star Citizen before we What are you looking forward to next? Let's done with that. What are you looking forward to next?
Well, dude, I'll be real with you. I'm kind of looking forward to this new event that's going on, not because I want to go and do it, but because it's going to free up another event that I'm more particularly interested in.
Hathor?
Yeah, yes,
Same.
exactly.
Same.
Well, dude, so I'm kind of looking forward to hopefully everybody kind of swarming to that event because it's going to be PvE, PvP. It's supposed to be in Pyro. So I think it's going to create a lot less attention for the aggressive players to be around Hathor. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm kind of hoping that's the way it shifts. All the PvE guys are going to cry, though. I mean, yeah, so who cares? it is what it is.
It's an MMO.
Yeah, it is what it is. Don't go to Pyro. As simple as that.
Yeah, I mean,
wait,
so
wait for the new event after that,
Exactly.
and then go do it.
I mean, yeah,
But
basically just go to the system that's least, active, and you'll be
I mean,
okay.
dude, Hathor turned into a PvP area and nobody gave a crap about it. And I had fun there. Like, I was sent to jail a couple of times because I got a little carried away. I know Riot went to jail a couple of times too. But no, we actually with SWET and the crew the other day, we actually were able to do the whole loop of Hathor, from getting the batteries to putting in the flight blades or the blade alignment keys. We did the whole thing, right down to mining the hole, and it was freaking awesome. It was so much fun, and I was like, dude, this is what we've been missing out on this whole time. And it's just like, I can't wait for the attention to kind of be shifted elsewhere so I could go get some more, and I could do some more without having to really worry too much about it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in the short term. Long term, I don't think long term. I think that's my problem. But that's another story.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is crazy 7. That's before my time. The A90. I mean, I remember the A90 jump, of course, but thinking that was considered an event compared to what we have now, that is pretty intense. And yeah, maybe we'll get Jumptown back. That was Blip's baptism by fire in Star Citizen. Hey, I'm new to the game. What should I do? Just come with me. You'll be fine. Let's go down to Jumptown. What's that? Don't worry about it.
Actually, long term, like the interdiction gameplay, where it's where it's going to become more of a thing. So like bounties, probably. I think that's probably.
Are you looking
long
forward
term
to
say.
playing put people in cryo?
Oh yeah, put them in cryo just to put them in cryo, even if they didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
I mean,
like you looked at me funny. You're going in the back of the
cryo. Yeah.
of the Cuddy Blue.
Yes, I think that, and I really hope that they bring out another ship with the quantum snare. The quantum snare on the Mantis, it was fun. Like it was like the first week of Supply or Die.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled out the Mantis and was getting on the routes that people were going from station to Pyro station, and pulling them out of Quantum. And we tried to organize an event. It didn't go so well, but the point is, it was fun. Like I had a blast pulling out ships out of Quantum, and then attacking them, and it was definitely. I can't wait for that to be more of a thing, more of a common thing, because it's going to make people think of like different routes to take and like doglegging their route or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and by the chance that you happen to catch that one person that is, C2 full and just take all his stuff, I mean, borrow his stuff is kind of exciting to me.
Appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate. Yes. And he could possibly parlay with us.
There you go.
Yeah,
But all right.
there's always room for negotiations.
Well, again, dude, thanks for being a guest on the podcast. I really appreciate you. Well, we're gonna say our thank yous, everybody, and we're gonna go right out. So grateful to Devils and Sweaty for coming out and chatting with us. I really appreciate it. We're gonna get Devil's Night another shout out here, everybody. Please. Oh, I guess
If you want.
didn't write your name properly. Yours is usually not one that I mess up. There we go.
Pretty long name.
Yeah, but it's easy. And
No.
it's unfortunate we lost non-manual dexterity, who was also supposed to be a guest tonight, but we'll get him on the next one. I'm actually starting to prep a low-fly podcast episode soon because we've done racing. We've talked about PvE. We've talked about some PvP. But we haven't done any low-fly stuff yet, so.
Do you think we'll ever get a low fly event? Like, official?
No. The only way that would be a thing is if they... No, we don't matter enough to them. No, just...
Yeah.
No, I mean, the racing community barely gets enough attention, right? Like, we're...
Yeah.
I was having this discussion with Dirk when he was a guest last podcast, and he was like, you guys are a lot in the low-fly community. Like, you might have us beat in the racing community. I was like, yeah, you guys in the racing community have a lot more hardcore dedicated people. We in the low-fly community, it's kind of like,
Chill.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of random people who get together when they feel like it kind of thing. It's not as organized. And
I need to go do some low flying.
Well, dude, come on out whenever you want. I'm usually low flying at least once or twice a week. Even if I'm not really playing Star Citizen, I will jump on at least once a week to low fly. But
yeah,
I
need to get back into it.
Always welcome. Now you got
best way to get to know your ship. Best way to get to know your ship is low flying.
That's a good point. That's a really good way to test it out. But all right, everybody. And again, thank you, everybody. Thank you to Devil's Night. If you haven't gone to follow him yet, you're a dick. No, I'm kidding. You should, though. Same for Sweaty. Make sure to drop him a follow. This has been a fun episode. I really appreciate you all. And yeah,